race for Season 5 heads out west, close to playoff territory and pumped to full intensity at one of the largest ovals on the schedule. We're live tonight from the virtual Auto Club Speedway. We welcome you to coverage of race 14 of the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series in Season 5 right here on MaxSpeedTV. So happy to have you a part of our broadcast this Wednesday evening. We're atop the broadcast booth here in Fontana, California. My name is Kenneth Bueno, and over the course of this season, we have found ourselves with a lot of winners, found ourselves with a lot of challenges, and of course, a lot of drama on the racetrack. But we are finally heading into the final stint where we are close enough to deciding which drivers will make it into the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series playoffs. We have a grand total of 8 different winners in season number 5, and of course we do have a total of 15 playoff spots. So still a lot left to scrap for, a lot of things to talk about in terms of the point standings, and of course who's in, who might be out once we get closer to Daytona International Speedway. But for Auto Club Speedway this evening, it is certainly going to be a big one for the drivers. It was an early race last season in season number 4. This time around, little later in the campaign, but still going to provide the same show. It was a foggy afternoon in sim last time we visited virtual Fontana, California. We're going to assure you it's a beautiful sunset evening this time around. This track located not too far away from Los Angeles proper. It's a 2-mile, 3.2-kilometer D-shaped oval that opened all the way back in 1997. Has a lot of speed records here held by some of the kart cars back in the late 90s, but with the stock cars here, they are pretty fast. 14 degrees of banking you'll find in the corners, 11 degrees on the front straightaway, 3 degrees on the backstretch. This track, although from a first glance it's relatively easy to drive, this track has been worn out over the many years that it has been in real life. And of course on the iRacing service on the scan, you're gonna find a lot of bumps, you're gonna find a lot of brashness in this Auto Club Speedway, and that's ultimately what's gonna make things a lot more fun. Of course, we do discuss what has happened last week. That was the road course race in Texas at Circuit of the Americas. We had a fantastic strategy race all the way to the end where Colin Forster was able to hold out on his strategy, remain up front, keep Lawson Peel at bay, was able to take what was his 3rd race win of Season 5, and he is right behind Lawson Peel in that number for most wins on the season. He was 2nd last time we were here at Auto Club, fell to a last lap pass by Mark Harris, who ended up winning that race. We'll see what Forster can do. He might look for 2 in a row, and we'll look to tie the win column. We do also have there is a new driver in tonight's race and for Season 5. It'll be Timothy Cook, 3rd driver for Trackhouse Racing. He joins what's going to now be his teammate group in Adam Alashire and Lance Hill. So we'll watch the driver of what is the 88 this evening as he makes his 4-Wide Racing Cup Series debut. So again, a lot to discuss in terms of the playoff standings and who might be in, who might be out for the top 15. And of course, once we wind things down at Gateway, Indy Oval, Iowa, Darlington, and then of course to the regular season finale at Daytona, we'll have a clear picture of who that might be. But with the amount of drivers that we have already locked in via wins, it means that more than half of the playoff field is already going to be guaranteed. So if you're a driver that's not guaranteed, that has not won a race, you're probably going to look to do so. And at a track as big as this, and at a track that might end up putting us in a strategy race, we could possibly see a brand new winner. Although last time by, you may not see how things go. We've had a string of repeat winners. Last time we had a new one was AJ Green back at New Hampshire. So at this stage, qualifying comes to a close. Drivers will be lined up behind the iRacing official pace car, and that means it is our time to take a look at your starting grid. See exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be lining up here tonight from the mountains of California and the virtual Auto Club Speedway. On the pole is California's own Daniel Michel. He'll look to be the hometown hero this evening at a 40.233, the fastest of everybody in qualifying. He will have Francisco Bacalhau to his outside. I believe this is really the first time Bacalhau makes a start in season number 5. In row number 2, you'll find the one machine of Lance Hill starting inside third. Kyle Benson in the number 10 returns. We saw him in the booth last week, did a phenomenal job at Circuit of the Americas. It was such an honor to call the race with him, but finally back in the habitat of a race car, and good to see that he has recovered as he starts in P4. Kevin D'Elia, the first driver inside the top 5, and then of course, like we said, rookie driver and new Trackhouse Racing member Timothy Cook putting up a time good enough for P6. AJ Green starts this race in P7. Curtis Kelly alongside him in row number 4. In P8, Jaden Porter and Jesse Prees, the 28 and the 00, the last 2 to round out your top 10. Colin Forrester, like we said, winner last week. Short here at Auto Club. Last time we were here, gonna look to go 2 in a row and get his first here at this speedway, or either second, I believe. He starts in 11th. Michael Newbraw will be follow suit in P12. Cody Kinsey, Adam Alashire, the drivers listed back to 14th in row number 7, before you find Craig Lownslugger in 15th and Brandon Banks in the number 54 in P16. P17 will be the number 16 car of Tyler Murray. Joe Sanchez to join along from the outside. Sanchez really going to have to work his way through the field in the opening jump. Eric Schaefer 19th. Tyler Warner in the number 33 to round out your top 20. And then the batch of the final drivers in tonight's field, starting with row number 11, Christopher Bishop in the 42, Brandon Gillis in the number 9, Lawson Peel not putting a time in qualifying. Big for the defending series champion. We'll see what he can do from almost the dead rear of the field. Tony Kimmett starts 24th. The last driver in our field, 25th place, Jason Hastings. Now remember, when we took this race green last time in season 4, we had a misted and foggy clouded day in sim. You could really not see past at least more than 15 feet in front of you, but we can assure you it is a gorgeous night here in Fontana, California to get things started. Let's take a look at the weather, and a nice 69-degree evening in sim. Track temp not too hot at 72 degrees, so not much more than the air temperature you're finding on the racetrack. Winds to the southeast at 2 miles an hour. It is a partly cloudy evening in sim, so we should race underneath the lights. It should be guaranteed at this stage. Also going to note, it looks like more server issues for Francisco Bacallao. This happened last week at Circuit of the Americas. It looks like we'll see if he can rejoin this race later on, but that will hand the second outside starting spot to the driver of the 10, Kyle Benson, but it will all be the 25 of Daniel Michel, who the pace car makes its way to the inside of pit road. 2 Camaros on the front row. Michel first, Benson in second. Green flag is out from Auto Club. And caution out for the first time this evening. It looks like problems involving Brandon Banks and what might appear to be Tony Kimmett. Has some right front damage on Banks. It looks like full front end damage, and that big dent on the radiator of the 76. As a closer look at it, we'll see exactly what might have happened at the entrance of turns 1 and 2. We'll find out. I believe it might have started with the 54. We'll watch it here as they enter the first corner on the first lap. And remember, they're all stacked up. We'll talk about that as the night progresses. In contact with Joe Sanchez, teammates getting together in turn 1, and Sanchez gets a piece of the damage. The 54 gets into the outside wall, and there's Tony Kimmett with absolutely nowhere to go as a result. Right on board here with the number 54. On behalf of this, he checks up quite a bit. The 55 tries to go down low and swerves into Banks, sends him sideways, and then here comes Kimmett. Nowhere he could go. He tries slowing down. He hops on the brakes, but by the time he does, it is a little too late. Both of them with some damage early on, and we do not complete a single lap without going under the yellow flag. There's a little more of a look at the damage on the right front of the 54 and the 76. Of course, these drivers are awarded a faster pair. Every single driver is awarded at least one in every race of this series. And so these drivers have the opportunity to get a clean one, but obviously, like we've harped on over the season, you don't want to use that faster pair all too early. So at this stage, we'll see what happens. And for Banks and Kimmett, should expect to stop down to pit road, but for the moment, they seem to stay out, and they're going to occupy the last 2 spots on the running order. So we do not complete lap number 1 under green. Going to complete lap number 2 here. Get to 3 and possibly complete lap number 3 itself. Be on a restart pretty soon, probably on lap number 4 or 5. Here we do go 125 laps here from the virtual Auto Club Speedway. So more than enough time to get some strategy in. We'll see if we can get a long green flag run to possibly give us some green flag stops at some point. Of course, at COTA, we saw a lot of great strategy. We did see that caution at halfway, but other than that, even with the incidents we saw on track, no cautions, and we had a fantastic strategy race where, like we said at the top of the show, Colin Forster in the 99 was able to be victorious, walked away from Lawson Peel as he tried to put on the pressure in the last couple of laps, and that was the 3rd race win of Season 5 for the 99. He knows a thing or two about getting to victory lane and performing well here on the West Coast, most notably here in Fontana. Remember, in his first season, Season 3 for Stonks Motorsports, he won this race off of a green-white checkered finish, but then came last season's festivities where it looked like he was primed to win that race and go 2 in a row. Mark Harris spoiled the party on the last lap pass in turns 3 and 4. And so Forster not able to enjoy the fruits of victory that time by, but there's a lot of redemption riding if you're this 99. And of course, winning the race last week going to give you a lot of confidence, giving you momentum. And what's even more important, and we've talked about it with Lawson Peel, with Forster, and with other guys who have picked up wins, by the time they do, that confidence only shoots up and their willingness to win only goes higher. They don't take that time while they're locked in to kind of back off of the pressure and not be as aggressive and not try to be the fastest car on the racetrack and not try to win more races. They want more playoff points. They want as much of a buffer they can have when the playoffs begin. So you're seeing that attitude pretty much spread wide amongst everybody who's picked up a win this season. All of them want to continue their winning ways, whether that be Peel, whether that be Daniel Michel, who's leading this race, who won at Road America, whether that be AJ Green, who won at New Hampshire, and whether that be Forster himself, who was victorious just 1 week ago. Well, we'll take a moment to introduce the second member of our broadcast team. It is Francisco Bacallao. Francisco, I know you tried to qualify for this race. I know there's some unfortunate happenings there to get the green flag, but this race, Auto Club Speedway, of course, a very fast one, very pack-filled in that nature, a lot of draft and a lot of fun when you think about it for real.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate turn of events for me, at least, but enough about that. These guys are going to have a blast at this racetrack tonight. It quickly became one of the fan favorites as the years have gone on, as the track surface is worn. And with these cars over the last 2 years in real life, Kenneth, we've seen some great racing here all over the racetrack, whether you're on the bottom or even below the apron, all the way up to the outside wall. Guys will have to use all bit of that racetrack, but usually the outside lane will prefer here, especially with draft. You want to stay in line close to the wall on the straightaways just to get past somebody or to prevent from being passed. I think it's going to be a good one. A little bit of an uncharacteristic start there with the yellow flag before turn 1, but I think we should get a couple of green flag laps here.
Hopefully we'll see some green flag back in the air. Lap number 5 of 125, already almost 4 wide near the dead rear of the field. They're side by side for second. Make that Lance Hill, Kevin D'Elia going at it. And how about 3 wide for the lead in turns 1 and 2. Michel looking to defend up top. He'll clear them both on the back straightaway, and cautions out. 1 car around in the outside wall. I think they might have been able to save it. Yes, they do. We stay green. And it looks like Timothy Cook, the driver, in trouble in his first start, and might have gotten loose by the time he exited turn 2. While we're looking at it, yes, that is the case. On the outside of Curtis Kelly, fighting for this spot inside the top 10. That's Colin Forster, not too far behind. Both him and Jesse Preece go sideways, and then you look at Cook, goes up into the outside wall, catches a bit of Jesse Preece, and I think maybe just a bit of Cody Kinsey in the 93. A bit of right side damage, but Timothy Cook ends up unscathed. He has since dropped to 24th, but a look back up front, battle for second, settle. The 53 of D'Elia clears past Lance Hill as Michel leads the race back into 3 and 4.
I do not have a visual right now.
Now here's a look at AJ Green, the 48 car on the inside of Lance Hill. Of course, these 2 former teammates at Stonks Motorsports 1 season prior before Alashire and Hill decided to depart ways, end up in Trackhouse Racing. Just like we said, the 48, the winner at New Hampshire earlier in the year. So looking for his second, and obviously over the past couple of seasons, he's gotten a lot of wins on the short tracks. probably would want one at a track as big as Auto Club. Lance Hill having to duck out of the way. Looks like he follows in line. That makes it about the top 6 or 7 or so under single file conditions. Kyle Benson on the back end of this, 3 wide for what's going to be P5 on the track, and it is Jaden Porter on the bottom, 3 wide for second on the front straightaway.
But you see, this is where he's going to lose out on the straightaway. You see, and they're all pushing each other. You see, he lost almost all those positions as they go back to turn 1, battling for second. Ends up back in P6, trying to hold off Forster, who's on his outside. That'll probably be the position there. And it goes back to what I was talking about just as the green flag came out. Guys going all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top as Forster makes a move to the inside. As the 53 of D'Elia, very aggressive bumps trying to hold off the 40 of Green as they'll go 3 wide for the race.
3 wide for the lead again in turns 3 and 4. All of this a byproduct because of the 25 going to the outside lane on both sides of the track, which is rather interesting here, Francisco, as Curtis Kelly might as well want to send it middle 3 wide. He does so for second, might make it work into turn 1. Looks like he gets around the 48, might make a case note against the 53, but what we're seeing out of the 25 might be a little unorthodox to the traditional line, Francisco, that you would take at this track. Of course, turns 1 and 2, that third lane up against the outside safer barrier is so significantly powerful. You can get big runs off of the corner, but in 3 and 4, you'd most likely want to be down on the inside. But everybody wants to be up top at this stage of the race, and we're only at lap 9.
Yeah, it's not something we're used to seeing on the case. Go all the way up there. You have to protect against the draft, the push. You want to stay up in front of that momentum so you can keep it or take it for yourself to make a move or to defend against it. You see right there, everybody stay in line. Curtis Kelly, who was going for the lead, is now down to 5 as Hill slips up a little bit. Forster's going to get right to his back bumper at the worst spot. He's going to get to the outside. Forster had to lift, and all that loss of momentum causes Kyle Benson to shoot. Kenneth, a couple of weeks ago, he had that ACL injury. And right now, he's in the top 3 making moves.
Kyle Benson making the most of it. And like I said earlier in the show, Benson was in our broadcast booth last week at Circuit of the Americas. That was so much fun to have the driver's perspective and to have Kyle in. He was so nervous before we dropped the green. He was worried about not messing up, not sounding stupid, but he sounded magnificent. It was so much fun having him in the booth. Gave us a little bit of the expertise, a bit of the perspective, and just overall, his thoughts did an amazing job. Hopefully we can have him in the booth sometime soon for another broadcast, but obviously this is where Benson belongs, Francisco, right on the racetrack and trying to be as fast as humanly possible. Michel slips loose in turn 3 and 4, and that 10 hogging the white line on the bottom. It gets into third at a turn 4. Contact. 3 cars involved on the front straightaway. One of them, Joe Sanchez, Lance Hill, and I believe Adam Alashire. I think we'll correct that. AJ Green, actually the 3rd car involved. Caution out for the 2nd time at lap 12.
Yes, and you can tell that that could happen here at any lap count. One of the most notable things about this car at this racetrack is that the car tends to be very unstable around the bottom. That guys on the inside will slip up. You see, we're 4 wide. That they knew they were 4 wide. We'll go look at it from top view. You see the 53 slips up. There goes Forrester, Hill, AJ Green through the middle. They're 4 wide. I don't think they recognize it, and that's why they come together.
Look at AJ Green, who made the contact. You'll see Joe Sanchez appear on the left side of your screen. D'Elia slips up in 3 and 4. This is where the 4 wide action happens. Green has space, but I don't think he really recognized that Sanchez was as close as he was and just makes that slight contact and gets into the 55. Here's another look at it. The 53 up at the top, Lance Hill, that red, or the orange and black car rather, on the outside. Then the red, yellow, and white car on the inside, Joe Sanchez. They all get into the contact. Hill and Sanchez go for a slide in the grass. That's a 3-car incident. Caution is out again here from the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. There's a look at Lance Hill, Sanchez, Eric Schaefer, Brandon Banks among those in pit road right now. And it looks like for the leaders, all of them not going to take this call. So a lot of this damage repair, a lot of this possible alternate strategy. We also did mention the fact that Brandon Banks and Tony Kibbett got involved in that first incident. Both of them are on pit road, so we do expect some damage repair. It looks like that is the case. And for the driver of the 76, It looks like he has done significant damage repair. No damage now, and did not use the fast repair at all. So good news for him, as your leaders will lead them out. And Francisco, a lot of highline action, but a lot of great racing so far as of lap 13.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows how much of it is due to the track conditions. This driver have driven in this league with the night setting at Auto Club. Normally we come here and it's in the bright afternoon sunshine of Southern California, but no, the sun is setting. There's a lot more grip, so you'd think that the shortest way around would be the right way to go. Doesn't seem to be the case. I think a lot of that has to do with the grip with this next-gen car. On the bottom, it's very slick. You can really slip it a lot, and that diffuser bumps the ground when you hit those bumps there, especially 3 and 4. But if you run against the wall, it's a little bit smoother up there, which helps the race cars turn. So you can kind of balance that out just a little bit better, and I feel like that's why they're able to do that. In the practice session when I was in there, that's exactly a little bit more stable up there. It's not too much slower. It's probably a little bit faster, especially with the draft. So, I mean, as long as they're bunched up, or even if they get some semblance of a spread, I think we're going to see these guys using the high side.
That's a good point you make there of using the bottom. The bumps here at Auto Club Speedway can scrub off a lot of speed, and this happened even in real life. The first time the Cup Series visited Auto Club with the brand new next-gen car, you saw a lot of cars go around and lose a lot of speed just because they ran the very bottom in, let's say, turns 3 and 4. Their cars would bounce around, the diffuser just scrapes against the asphalt. All of a sudden, you have time lost, and in worst-case scenario, you have a car that's going around that's completely loose. So we have not seen that up until this point. Everybody has kept things controlled for the most part. The contacts that we've seen on track have just been between drivers, not between the car and the track relationship itself. However, we might see that happen, and it's pretty interesting to see the brigade of drivers using the very outside as opposed to wanting to be a little more conservative and rolling the bottom. There is also one thing to note, is that there was a hotter track temperature last time we were here at Auto Club. It wasn't by much just because of the foggy conditions we had. The sun, though, was still out. Here, though, tonight, sun is below the horizon. We're looking at a sunset tonight transition over 125 laps. So the grip levels are only going to go up. The track temp is only going to continue to cool down. So who knows? We might just see that outside be the force and be the place to be all night long. Pace car makes its way down to pit road. Second restart of the evening starts with Michel. One car loose on the inside. We're back under green from Auto Club.
It's very chaotic here to start the evening, and it's only lap 14. You see guys starting to switch lanes, go to where they think their car is going to be best and where they can gain the most spots. You see it's Forster on the inside all the way to the bottom of the track, and I think he's going to take the lead. He's going to try and slide up. 3 wide for second.
3 wide for second. That's Benson on the inside. Now here's a crossover. Michel looking for the lead in turn 3.
Used a side draft going into turn 3. He's not clear, though. Forster there, and Forster has to check up. If not, he ends up in the outside wall. That invites the 91 to do battle, and there's Benson on the bottom trying to take a podium spot.
We saw over the first 14 laps or so, Benson was really the only one to be loyal to the inside, and so far, it's working. Although he hasn't really been in the draft, and although everybody has been up at the top, Benson has been so faithful down there in 3 and 4, and it has worked to his benefit. Forster and Alashire are going to move to the middle lane as Michel holds on to the lead. Now here comes Benson with an opportunity at third. Looking on the bottom side of Alashire, he'll block off. Side by side further back in the top 10. And how about Jaden Porter, Tyler Murray going at it for P6 on track in turn 3.
Looks like there's another 3 wide moment up there towards the front of the field, and indeed so. It's a battle for the lead once again. They're 3 wide with the 25 of Michel on the outside, the 91. But he's going to try and help Forster take the lead. We'll see if Forster tries the slide job here in 1 and 2 as they go down towards the corner. Forster's going to go all the way to the bottom. He clears Michel, but he's not going to slide up. He's going to run the normal line, and he's going to wait until the exit of the corner, but the momentum to the 25 car is going to power him on the straightaway as the 8 car gets into the outside wall. The 16 is Murray. He's able to keep it going, but that could very well hamper his race cars. You know, these race cars, these next gens are very sensitive. Could have broken a toe link.
Hopefully that's not the case. It looks like his car is handling just fine. The right front, though, damaged. And here at Auto Club Speedway, these larger tracks, you need your car to be aerodynamically streamlined. You cannot afford to hit the outside wall and get a piece of damage and crinkles up and could possibly lose you some miles per hour on the long straightaways. I think for the 16, he escapes without any significant harm. Other than track position, he drops behind Brandon Gillis, just outside of the top 10. Battle for position once again up front, this time once more for the lead. Colin Forrester looking to the inside. Adam Alashire diving to the bottom. 3 wide for the lead, might make the slide job, but can't quite complete it, and Forrester holds on to the lead for now at the exit of turn 4.
But he slides all the way up, and Michel expects he cuts all the way back to the bottom. He's going to cut in the trioval. He can do that. There's no out of bounds. And he's going to get right back in front of the 99. This is some great action, Kenneth. Neither one can pull away, but neither one lets the other get past fully. If Forrester makes a move, he gets immediately crossed over, and when Michel makes a move, Forrester comes right back at him. So this is fantastic stuff. But at some point, you have a feeling that someone might pull away because eventually the tires will wear. That's going to happen at this racetrack. It's one of the oldest surfaces on the sim, and they get the surface down, as Michel may have scraped the outside wall, but it's not costing him much, as that's how close he has to run. Is look at the move Forrester makes to the inside. Benson tried to go 3 wide. He's going to fall back in line, and side by side for the lead once again is Colin Forrester and Daniel Michaud back to turn 1.
And mind you, these are 4 different teams represented in 1st through 4th. You're looking at Stonks Motorsports with Colin Forrester, DBR, Drinking Bros Racing with Daniel Michaud, Kyle Benson for Murray Reedy Motorsports. Again, they go 3 wide for the lead at the exit of turn 2, and then the 91 of Adam Alashire for Trackhouse Racing. Make that probably 5 or 6 different cars in different teams inside the top 6. Southern Heat Racing with Craig Lautenslager, Baqueal Bueno Racing for the 28 of Jaden Porter. A lot of diversity at the front of the field as they continue to tally at it. Forrester maintaining the bottom. It looks like he might just single file, but he will duck out of that, go back to the bottom in turn 1. And a 4-car breakaway ensues back to the first corner. Alashire and Benson trying to do all that they can to break this top 2 from getting away. It seems like none of that's working. All of them close to each other. Michel with another crossover for the lead.
You see, these guys are doing the side draft. They're doing it trying to be as effective as possible, getting right to the quarter panel and trying to pull away. That's the only way your 5 does. But does he slide too much? He's going to end up in the wall.
Going to be in the outside wall. Forrester picks up the spot. Now make it 3, almost 4 wide for second. Benson and Alashire are going to make their move. Kevin D'Elia has since slipped into the top 5. He's gone around the 13 of Craig Lautenslager. There are still 3 entering turn 1. Benson faithful to that white line on the bottom of the racetrack, but it might not last him by the time we get to the back straightaway. Michel able to hold on for the moment, might take over second for good. Alashire falls back. Benson's still there, and most importantly, Francisco, he has help. That was Kevin D'Elia giving him a bit of draft going into turn 3.
Right now, this kind of racing looks very similar to Jen was debuted. If you remember, 550 horsepower, it was this kind of racing. These guys cannot get away from each other. It looks like a super speedway race.
On board with the one of Lance Hill. Caution is out for the 3rd time this evening, and it is Brandon Gillis, one of the cars involved. He goes hard into the inside wall, and the grass on the front straightaway. And so we'll see exactly what happened. There are more cars in it. That's Jesse Prees, Michael Newbraw, Cody Kinsey, Tony Kibbett. A big parking lot. A couple of 100 feet after the start-finish line. And we'll see what might have transpired. All these drivers in a big pack near the rear. And it appears that this was just a huge crash that began at the exit of 4. Tony Kibbett getting into the 9 of Newbraw, traveling up track. They get into Michael Newbraw. And they get into Brandon Gillis. And of course, the 00 Jesse Prees, Tony Kibbett coming to a stop. And here will be another look at it at the exit of turn 4. It's Gillis that makes contact with Newbraw, then gets into Kibbett, then back up into the 6. And then Kinsey just gets hip checked. The 00 nowhere to go. He goes into the wall. Gillis travels down the track. And a hard scenario for all of them. Tony Kibbett coming to a stop, so not officially involved. No damage for him. But they completely track block the front straightaway, trying to get back to go.
Looked to me, Kenneth, that the Gillis machine saw that move being made to his inside and kind of didn't expect it. So he kind of reacted in a sort of way, drifted up the track just enough to make contact with the 6, and that sends him a little bit sideways. You know how unstable these cars get on corner exit. That was enough to send him down the track into, I believe it was Kinsey that had made the move, and then that's what sets that wreck off and going. As we see now, the leaders will make their way down pit road. Most of the field will pit anyways. I don't see anybody staying out right now, maybe one car, but everybody's in. Kenneth, tires are going to be at a premium. Even though you saw that they couldn't get away from each other, it still matters to have fresh ones because the tires will fall off almost up to 3 seconds throughout a run.
It's definitely true, and watching the drivers run as hard as they did in that first stint, you have to imagine they're going to want fresh set of tires and, of course, some fuel to make it and to get into the next run. Of course, we're only 25 laps in, so we didn't really extend the entire stint on green flag laps for the fuel tank, but of course a decent amount of stint. We're seeing 2 tire calls out of the drivers in the front of the field. I did see Eric Schaefer come out with a 5.7 second stop. Looks to be 4 tires in fuel for Colin Forrester. Everybody on back. Eric Schaefer though leads the run out of the pit lane, and an interesting call that gets him track position. But of course, there are drivers who have stayed out. Kevin D'Elia, Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel, AJ Green, 1st through 4th, and even 5th place, Tony Kibbett, have all stayed out on the track. They do not want to come down pit road this time.
This is the time of the race in which you're going to try this sort of strategy, Kenneth. You want to do it now when you can still recover from it later. So the likes of everybody who stayed out, they're trying to see how their old tires stacked up against guys who pitted. And if you're Eric Schaefer, you're somewhere in the middle. You took 2 tires. That way you can run a little bit harder, even though your tires won't be as fresh as everybody who took 4. You should, in theory, be able to do a little bit better than everybody that stayed out. I don't disagree with any of the calls being made tonight. It is rather early. We have about 100 laps to go, so it's still a long ways to go before the checkered flag. But if there's any late cautions that happen towards the end of this race, a caution like this is exactly when you want to learn what you can and can't do.
That's definitely true. It sees what works, what doesn't. And for Eric Schaefer, I can imagine here, probably not anticipating that the drivers would have stayed out, at least 1st through 5th is concerned. But for Schaefer, do you think that with the racing that he saw up front and with the way that people kind of evened out on tires over the run while we were under green, he probably thought maybe track position is just better than having 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. If I could take 2, get ahead of all these guys, get some better track position, I might give myself a better chance of leading laps and staying up front. Schaefer did not start very high in this field, and so for him to gain this amount of time to do what he done on that pit stop, as he was as low as 19th in this race after starting there in tonight's event, this gain track position might just be good news, could set him up properly for the next run. But the biggest thing is, it's still a mystery. We're going to have to find out when we get the green flag. So it's Kevin D'Elia, your race leader. Joe Sanchez not too far behind at the outside of row number 1, rather the inside. D'Elia choosing the top lane for the restart. AJ Green going to be 3rd, and Lawson Peel in 4th. Eric Schaefer and Tony Kibbett going to be occupying row number 3. And then goes everybody who came down for pit road. Colin Forrester, Daniel Michel, everybody else who took 4 fresh tires and some fuel along the way. Pace car will make that sharp left to the entrance of pit road. We again restart here from Auto Club Speedway. It'll be lap number 27 of 125. And watch the top 5. All of them, no tires on this call. We'll see whether this call makes a worthy appearance on this run. Green flag back in the air. The 53 up and away for turn 1.
Yes, you got a really good launch there, but he wants the outside for the lead. So the leader's using the outside on that opening run, and it's defend against the momentum. So Sanchez will probably get the lead there as he does on the inside, but the 53 is trying to defend against most of the field. You see guys sliding back there in the back of the field with cold tires. Crash in the back of the field. It's Lautenschlager.
Lautenschlager around on the back straightaway. Caution is out once more. It appears to be a single car incident. And the 13, who was at one point inside the top 5 in that last run, now in trouble with damage on both the left and right side of his Toyota Camry. We'll find out exactly what might have transpired, and I believe, Francisco, contact with Brandon Banks at the exit of turn 2. Watch this with the 13. You'll see that white and blue Chevrolet on the top side. That is the 54 of Banks. And I believe they either make contact or the 13 loses the race car. Either one of the two, I think, got loose, overcorrected, then up into the 54. Loose condition as well for the 88 of Timothy Cook. But that doesn't bite him all too heavily. And the 13 overcorrects, simple mistake, and his car's into the outside wall.
That was exactly what I was just talking about, Kenneth, the looseness. And we had gone over the bumps You combine those two things together, and it results in something like this. You just have no control of the race car, which it goes to show why D'Elia wanted the outside. He wants to run up there where it is smoother, where he can put less wheel into it. Where Lauenslager was running, he's putting a lot of wheel in, trying to keep the car towards the bottom of the racetrack. And with the cold tires, that's exactly what you're going to get. And now he has to use the fast repair.
So with this call for caution, looks like Tony Kivick going to come down for the pit lane. Remember, he stayed out on the last yellow, so he's going to be one of the lone cars to come in. Brandon Banks and, of course, Craig Lauenslager should join that fray. It looks like they're also going to bring in the 71 of Curtis Kelly. So all of them going to come in this time for service. Everybody else, though, will stay out. And this is good news, Francisco, if you're this group of cars. Sanchez on through P4, AJ Green, and even then some, a bit of Eric Schaefer in the 3. You're getting these quick yellows. If that continues to happen, you might have an equalization of tires from the drivers who took 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles last time through. And basically what you do is you gain all that track position, you don't give it up, and you don't lose it all too quickly. So this is very good stuff for Sanchez, D'Elia, Peel, AJ Green, and even Eric Schaefer, because while they're making this call, while they're experimenting, it seems to be working in their favor, and these cautions only pretty much gain the buffer between themselves and then the advantage that Colin Forster and company has behind them.
Yeah, it definitely helps what they're trying to do, but the tires will at some point show their prevalence. We did run about 20 or so laps, though albeit some of them were under the yellow flag behind the pace car. So truly how much did they wear is up to question. But at the end of the day, if we keep getting these cautions, which have been the early sort of way the race has gone, then definitely you want to prioritize the track position. And that's why guys like this will like to see the yellow flag keep away. But keep the track position. It might help their situation. It'll definitely won't hurt them. But at least in the meantime, they'll get to keep the track position, and hopefully eventually the tires will play into their favor in regards to the tires, because at least as far as the wear is concerned, if we get a long enough run, the guys on new tires will eventually find their way to the front once again.
And we saw long runs be a big staple of last season's race at Auto Club Speedway. It ended under a long green flag run, and that was very different from Season 3's activities, where that race ended under overtime, green-white checkered circumstances. So we've had both sides of the card shown here in California, and who knows, with the way these cautions have flown, could we end up in a strategy race to the end that goes green? Do we end up in a situation where we have to extend this race by a couple of laps to get it sorted out and get a winner out of it? Obviously, who knows? It's still very early. We're in the next 95 laps of this race, so a lot left to decide, a lot of racing still to do, and still for a note, your top 4 have not come down pit road in at least 17 laps or so. They're on the oldest tires of the field. It is Eric Schaefer, who took a 2-tire call in the last pit stop. He is in P6, or P5 rather. Colin Forster should occupy P6, and they'll switch over as they're in both row number 3. Forster and everybody behind him all have fresh 4 tires and, of course, the gas to get there. And it will be the control car, Joe Sanchez, this time on the bottom to lead with his DBR teammate Lawson Peel not too far behind. Neither of these drivers finished inside the top 5. The last time we were here, Lawson Peel had to settle for a 9th place finish, and Joe Sanchez wasn't even in the race. So we'll see what they can do on the restart. The 55 will have control. Kevin D'Elia on the outside as the pace car rolls off into pit road, into the restart zone. The 55 will have discretion, and the Cookout Chevrolet Camaro of Joe Sanchez leads them to green. DBR 3 car pull away on the inside.
And you can tell he caught D'Elia off guard. What a move to the there to go 3 wide from the outside all the way. It's by one of those cars that took 4 tires. It's Daniel Misha, but now he's going to get stuck there a little bit bogged down on the inside. And he actually hits a bump or something because he's sliding up and, whoa, sideways through the whole exit. He's going to lose one. But what a save there, Kenneth. And that goes back to what we talked about on the last restart. Guys are hitting the bumps, and with these cold tires, it is not going to be helpful.
You need a couple laps to get them sorted out, and for the 25, he got a little too overeager, and it cost him track position and could have almost cost him a clean race car. Fortunately, he keeps it straight. He's in a battle with the 28 of Jaden Porter further back. through the top 10. And here's Forrester eyeing the inside of AJ Green, his teammate, into turn 1, as Eric Schaefer holds on to third with the 2 fresh tires he picked up on his last pit stop. And there's Michel in the background using the way outside lane as Forrester gets loose in turn 2.
That's been the line that Michel's wanted to use tonight, and he's made it. How he's able to do that in traffic, pulls up right behind the 28 of Porter. Forrester just ahead of both of them. You see, they're not all the way in air to be found up there, and a little bit more momentum on corner exit. He should have the draft, of course, and a little bit of a push from Benson to fill that gap in front of Adam Alishire. Alishire trying to go back up front. There you see Joe Sanchez. He basically is punching the hole for everybody. So anybody who's running behind this 55 will be a little bit faster on the straightaways, and it just gets exponential the further back you get. So the 12 of Field's going to have a run probably, as look at that, almost contacted to Michel using the high side to perfection. That's really how they use it, Kenneth. When you see somebody running the outside like this at Auto Club in real life, they would get that big of a run, and we're seeing that exactly being put to use here. It's nice to see.
Look how much throttle he's using at the entrance of the corner. He dives very deep in turns 3 and 4. You saw him up into the throttle. Even by the signage that usually would be the marker to start hitting the brakes and slowing down, that 25 was not giving way. Almost got the door shut into the outside wall by AJ Green as Eric Schaefer goes sideways. Kevin D'Elia makes contact. We're 3 wide.
Yeah, and Michel did not like that by the 48 as look at sideways. The 25 as he's trying to go up through the middle. Michel did not like the door being shut on him by AJ Green. Gave him to turn 1, but look at this. He's going to send it down the inside again, and he's going to slide up. He wants to take the line that he wants, so he doesn't mind doing that as we have a change for the top spot. Lawson Peel goes in front of his teammate as they're side-by-side third between the 53 of D'Elia and the 99 Forster, with Daniel Michel back in the top 5.
And with that hiccup by Eric Schaefer, it drops him all the way to P6. Now looking for 5th, the entrance of turn 1. But remember, the fresh tire cars are coming. You notice, Francisco, that the tires, at least as old as these guys are in the front, they're going to start to wear off enough to the point where the 4 fresh tire cars are going to take advantage of them regardless of the situation. That appears to be the case right now. Michel eyes the inside of Eric Schaefer, and even the 99 going to make it a 3-way fight for what's going to be the entrance into the top 4. And Michel might look for another. He'll look for Kevin D'Elia. Schaefer with a huge crossover. We're again 3 wide for a moment as Joe Sanchez looks to the inside for the race lead.
He's going to have to send it here if he wants to keep the lead, as he's just barely out in front. He's going to go all the way. Well, does he slide up, though, as look at Michel around the outside. If he can get to the outside of Forster, he will do so. He's going to try and push Peel into the 53 of D'Elia. D'Elia hit. Now the 12 tries to pull out. There's a lot of action going on right now, Kenneth. All the bumpers are being used.
Here's a look at Lawson Peel. Took the lead a couple of laps ago, and this is how far he's fallen, just based on his tire life. Colin Forrester moves on the inside of Sanchez. This move might just be good enough for the lead. It is. He's got help by Kevin D'Elia on the inside. Remember, D'Elia on some old tires, but still making it work. He might go for the lead himself at the entrance of turn 1. But Francisco, we should expect that top side to dominate like it has been over the past 36 laps or so. The 99 will bring the 25 in tow. That should get them down to the back straightaway in control of the lead. It does. New leader, Colin Forrester.
I don't expect that to stay the case for long because Michel's been running that outside. You see him use the wall to his advantage to get the car to turn. It should keep him up in second place. Forster, though, is being defensive about the bottom. I'm not sure if that's the way you want to go. If the 25 is making headway where he is, I think you have to get up there and run his line. That way you take it away from and force Michel to do something else. But in the meantime, you see Forster still running about a lane off the wall, really giving the 25 an incentive to jump right up there.
Right on board with Adam Alishire, who is comfortably settled into P6. He is also one of the fresh tire cars, so he should look on Lawson Peel quite quickly. Caution flag will wave, though, to slow the field down, and it might just be Brandon Gillis again in trouble, and it is. Parked slowly on the apron of the back straightaway, and the yellow flies once more for the Ford Mustang of Brandon Gillis. It looks like, I think, contact with AJ Green. Remember, Green was at one point inside the top 10. McGillis gets loose right in front of the 48, and there's nothing that Green could do at that point. Francisco turns the 9 around, and as the 9 does a nice job to avoid the inside wall slow enough to bring out the caution.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I'm not sure about there. I'm not sure how AJ Green magically was back there. You saw at the beginning of the clip. Oh, we did not see this happening as just behind the leaders, contact between him and the 3. They both go sliding through the grass, but give them credit as Green with an amazing job to keep it off the pit wall. So did the 3 of Eric Schaefer. As he's starting to get back going, he happens to get caught up by Brandon Gillis as he goes through those bumps. Gillis gets a little bit loose and almost saves it, but just the 48 is there and nothing at AJ Green. He saves it direction. The 9 spins off the racetrack towards the wall, but he never fully went around, if you will. So I'm not sure that was an iRacing caution, Kenneth. I believe the admins called that one.
Yeah, just based on the contact, looked like they decided to slow the field down and fortunately give Brandon Gillis a chance to recoup himself and, of course, get stacked up with the field. Here's the call. The 53 of D'Elia, Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel. Among those, remember, they had not taken tires on the last set of stops. Now they're all coming in. So this is the alternate call that might just have them with an advantage inside the next 85 laps or so. Kyle Benson, Lance Hill, there's Timothy Cook, there's AJ Green, Jesse Prees, Curtis Kelly, among all of those that are taking tires this time by. And this goes to the entire argument, Francisco, of tire sets. In this series, you do have limited tire sets from each and every race, including tonight's at Auto Club Speedway. So while, let's say, you can think in your head, well, why don't the leaders decide to come down pit road at the same time that the other guys do? It's not a case of just having fresh tires in the first part of the run, having old tires now, and just deciding to stay out. It's a case of they do not want to use another tire set that could possibly be pivotal when you get to the end of the race. And that's a strategy that, as a driver and even as a teammate in the voice chat, you have to keep that in mind, and you have to play it very carefully as well.
You make a very good point, Kenneth. You're always reminding each other about the tire sets. You're trying to constantly stay aware. How many do you have left? How many have you used? How long have the runs been? How long can you go with the tire set? Because you can't put an old set on. That's not something that you can do on iRacing, though it has been a feature that guys have been requesting over recent years as this feature has been included on the sim, because it does give you an option. If you were to have, say, a scuffed set of tires, it's not the same as having those hot worn tires. You can get one that's slightly used in, but not exactly super hot, so it could help you on the short run in case with real life scuffed tires. But since that's not an option, what you'll see is guys staying out or taking fuel only. Either of those two things usually tend to work, but the only way to guarantee the track position is by staying out. Some of the guys in this field have done to gain the track position. I believe the tire set limit is 7 for tonight. You can correct me if that's not the case. And you have to basically manage those into ideally an equal run. Ideally an equal run if the race were to go green. Of course, in tonight's case, it hasn't gone green. So now you're starting to think, okay, how many laps are left? How many tire sets could I use per life, I should say? And to kind of finish off the point with this is basically you try to use it as evenly as possible to time it to the end, because you do not want to finish the race with tire sets to spare. That means you probably weren't aggressive enough, but also in turn, it could mean you were aggressively trying to keep track position. It just depends on how successfully did you keep the track position in the first place.
That is true. That's a really good point. And again, we'll watch that strategy unfold over this race. And if you were these guys at the front, you pitted recently and then you had fresher tires, all of a sudden now you're flip-flopped in this case. The best case scenario for you is if that race went green, then you had a caution way further down the line, you could pit at the same time that those other guys do, and then you're on the same level playing field. That's not the case. We'll find out what they do. Lawson Peel is the first car on fresh rubber back at the latter half of the top 10, and also just got confirmation by Curtis Kelly. Yes, there are 5 tire sets in tonight's race from virtual California. We'll see how the strategy unfolds, but as of now, restart at lap number 42. Colin Forster well and away from the rest of the field back to turn 1.
As a race car driver, it always feels like the strategy is never...
Here's Jaden Porter looking to the inside of Daniel Micho. How about first time we see Jaden Porter inside the top 3 all night long. The 28 has been making some solid progressions through the field. And how about also Cody Kinsey back into the top 4. after having a nice run in the top 10 a little bit earlier, then getting involved in a caution. And then you look at 5th and 6th, Craig Lownslugger, Tyler Murray. They both had problems at the start of this race, and now up into 5th and 6th, latter half of the top 10. This shows you how much things can change, and Lownslugger on board with the number 13, used his faster pair after his crash, and now settles in at 5th. We'll try to catch up to the 93s. He'll bring the 16 with him.
What you're not seeing out of most of these leaders up until the 25 of Michel is they're not exactly all the way up to the wall as the 25 is. I've seen most guys run about half a lane to a lane off the wall. No, if you want to run as fast as Daniel Michel, you have to. Looks like Kinsey will try to go to the inside. That time it was a little bit much, Kenneth, but you have to run there to gain as much momentum. It's kind of like the story of Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson. To get as much of momentum as possible as available, you have to get up there.
You know, it's funny, I was watching a video earlier today looking back at Homestead 2022 where Kyle Larson, who had dominated that race and ended up winning at the end, how close he would run to the outside wall, and a video just showing you how impressive it is to run up there, have that much quickness and pace by running up there, and just the impressiveness of not hitting the outside wall. But that's something, Francisco, that these drivers probably don't want to risk. Sure, it might be the fastest line to run right up against the safer barrier and use that wall arrow to your advantage. You don't want to flirt with disaster. You don't want to put yourself into the wall and then lose track position. Michel has been really one of the only drivers to be fearless in that aspect, but it looks like everybody else, while they could run the outside for speed, they don't want to run as high as that 25 is. And Michel uses the inside this time to look for the lead. Forster, though, will get the crossover done. Back to the inside as Kevin D'Elia chases the car on the inside of the apron, and he saves it. Oh no, he's around, sideways.
He's locking it down as he's coming back up the racetrack. I don't see the yellow flag yet. He's going to get off the track just to make sure that no yellow waves. So far, nothing as Forster goes to the inside, Kenneth, but you go back to the point of running the outside. It's not that common to see it on iRacing, so maybe drivers don't have that kind of skill set, that ability that they have to maybe have to be able to run the wall as effective as some of the real-life counterparts do. So it's kind of a work in progress when you get to a situation like this where it does work for Daniel Michel in that outside wall, because you just don't know. You're not exactly sure. You don't have the experience. As speaking of, look at Jaden Porter, lack of experience in the series, making his full season, but he's going to feed all the way. He's going to go all the way to the white line. He's going to slide up as they come off the corner. He'll be ahead of the 99 for now as Forster will tuck in behind Michel. And now you'll see Porter's going to lose that momentum from being on the bottom. Michel will go down to try and cover in an attempt to keep them side by side behind him.
Smart move by Michel. Wanted to give that draft off of the 28, and Porter did an absolute swerve the lane on the back straightaway to look for 3 wide action for P1. Unfortunately, not successful in that attempt to get the front point, but it's good enough to at least keep him pressure with the 99, as it looks like the 93 will look to the bottom. That's Cody Kinsey. There's Tyler Murray on the backside of this, that Tracker Boat Chevrolet. They'll make it 3 wide for third. A bit of contact between Kinsey and Porter in 3 and 4. And then you look at the 12, the SpaceX car of Lawson Peel. He is the first car, by the way, on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. He goes under Porter. He goes under Murray. Forrester looks underneath Michel for the race lead in turn 1.
Nobody can get away from each other, Kenneth. This is very impressive that the cars are able to do this, considering the recent updates that they had with being able to follow as Michel gets into the outside wall. I think Forster got the wall as well. Trying to protect against each other, they scraped the outside wall. Fortunately for both of them, it's been very minor taps, but you don't want to do it too many times, as there's Peel with the new tires. He's going to go all the way to the white line, have a little bit of better grip than maybe Forster does, and he'll clear them off the corner. So put that number 12 car, who we've seen so many times.
Oh, car round! Kyle Benson in the inside grass.
He's spinning, but he's kind of keeping it going, and he saves it.
A gorgeous save by Kyle Benson. I was just about to say the top 9 were all together by 0.6 of a second under a complete blanket that included the 10 of Kyle Benson, but loses it at the exit of turn 4, and we have a new race leader at the front. Lawson Peel finally uses his 4 fresh tires to his advantage, took the lead from Colin Forrester, and now going to look to pull away.
We'll see if he can do that. Nobody's been able to do it quite yet, but there is a tire difference here, so you'd think he'd be able to, especially if he's able to run the bottom that way. So we'll see what exactly goes on here on the straightaway. Guys will absolutely close in as Jaden Porter's found himself back up into the 4th place position right behind Daniel Michel. I think Michel, Kenneth, has been the driver that just wants to run that outside. It's been fast. It's not like doing it for the hell of it. As we see the contact here back with Michael Newbroad, it seems just a little bit of incidental contact, and it results in the 10 sliding through the grass. Fantastic save, Kenneth. It's hard enough to save that with normal feelings in your feet. For him, I'm sure it probably hurt a little bit, but definitely worthy.
A gorgeous save, and you can put that with AJ Green's to the inside wall in the same part of the track, and both of them keep their races intact for the moment, although of course track position completely lost, and with that caution not coming out, they're going to have to do their hardest to get back up through the field, or at least hope for a yellow to bring everybody back sorted. The 99 and the 25 still try and tussle for P2, and that 12, while not being able to pull away, has been able to have good enough of a buffer to avoid being pressured fully by Forrester and by Michel. We haven't seen them go side by side quite yet. Look a couple of car lanes back. This is 6th place Craig Lauenslager, and you'll see it here on this front straightaway as Tyler Murray slaps the outside wall at the exit of 4. Forrester not able to make a move. It looks like now might try it as he looks to the bottom. Peel tried to shut the door. The 99 pulls through to P1 in turn 1.
Oh, but he had a poor entry, Kenneth. He's going to try and tough it out there in the middle lane. I think that Peel should get enough of a run off the corner. As Forster tries to slide up, Peel does not get there, so the 99 goes back to the top as a couple of cars scrape the outside wall for corner exit. There goes Peel back to the bottom. Going into turn 3, he's going to absolutely send it, go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to try and slide up corner. That will cost him in corner exit, as just look at that tire difference there, is able to pull a gap at the same way. So for now, Peel back to the front. I just think that 25, Kenneth, I think he's actually pushing Forrester to make that battle. I don't think the 99's as fast as the 12. I think the speed the 25 is able to carry on that outside is pushing the 99 into battle.
And you know what that is? More strategic play. If you're a driver like Michel and you're pushing that 99 to fight the 12 for the lead, what you're doing is making Forrester use up more of his race car, and with that, Michel can just hang back, run his lane, do his own thing, let them settle the dirty business, and he'll take the positions when they're available and when they're both vulnerable. So I like that call by Michel, but he'll be pressured now by Jaden Porter and by Craig Lauenslager, and maybe even a third driver in the mix, Joe Sanchez and Cody Kinsey, both of them working the inside in turn 1.
Like I said, the field cannot get away from each other. I thought Peel may have a shot at it, but it seems as though anytime anybody gets to the front of the pack, they're just unable to really get away with it. It kind of reminisces of the Gen 6.
It runs like that 550 package, and I was just about to mention Lawson Peel might have been the only driver in the top 5 to have the freshest tires. Sanchez finally made his way through. Caution is out again at lap number 54. Let's see who might have been. It looks like Jason Hastings. Problem on the back straightaway. He is at a complete stop. I think we have just gotten word that Brandon Gillis might have just been pulled behind the wall. And I think this may be the reason why. Battling for position near the rear of the field. The exit of turn 2. That's the in and out machine of Hastings. The black, white, and blue car of Gillis gets into the outside wall. Big slam with Hastings. Gillis calls it quits.
Yeah, just an unfortunate circumstance there. The 49 being an innocent bystander. The 9 running the outside. And like I said, most of these guys probably don't do this that often, especially in a situation where it probably has to be done. He just pushes enough into the outside wall. And honestly, any contact with the wall with this race car, Kenneth, and it can really send your car out of control. That's exactly what happened to the 9 of Gillis. Gets into the 49. 49 goes around, and the yellow flag will wave once again, and that's not exactly going to do much for him in terms of the fast food war.
It definitely won't. No, we still have the cookout machine of Sanchez, who didn't run that, by the way, last week at COTA, which kind of was funny in the case, Francisco, that we had a whole discussion about fast food, but the cookout machine is back. No panic for that. There is no Chick-fil-A, though, fully on the 12. There is a bit of it on the rear quarter panel on both sides of the 12. But nonetheless, leaders are coming down for pit road. Remember, there was at least a 12-lap difference between Peel, Sanchez, all the drivers that came in recently versus all those other guys, which included Colin Forster, Danny Michel and company, to stay out. But it looks like Lawson Peel does not want tires, Francisco. He wants fuel only coming out.
I think what he saw was what those guys were able to do on the older tires. And considering they were still battling, it's probably a good decision. And it goes back to what I mentioned in the other yellow. If you see that the tires aren't doing much, then maybe taking fuel only is the right choice. You continue to extend how many laps you run under the green flag. You don't exactly tie yourself to a box, but you don't lose as much time, and you don't use that valuable set if you need it later in the race. At some point, we've seen guys take tires and they come flying up through the field. The problem is once you're at the front, you're not pulling away. So I think if your guys at the front, it might be a normal call to either stay out or take fuel only because you can't pull away. The tires help you get there, you just can't get away.
So here's Lawson Peel staying out. He's got the race lead. Lance Hill and Adam Alishire are going to be first and second as they have stayed out on the racetrack. They also bring in Kyle Benson, AJ Green, Timothy Cook, and Christopher Bishop. So a group of 4 or 5, or actually first through 6 rather. So 6 cars total, all going to stay out. And it's pretty fascinating to see, Francisco, the different types of calls that we're seeing. Because every single yellow, I don't believe we've really seen every single driver come in. We've seen a batch of them, maybe a majority, but we haven't seen everybody, 150%. Every yellow we've had, at least as of late, we've seen a group of a batch of cars all stay out in an attempt to have their strategy play out. And with these yellows, it's only kind of putting more of a distance between all of these guys' strategies, and we're seeing it once more. 6 cars staying out. We've got everybody 7th on back with at least fresh tires, or in the case of Sanchez, Peel, and some company, fuel only.
That last part is exactly correct. The more cautions we get, the more variety we'll see. And I think until we get along in the front, that's going to continue being the case. I think if we were to get a 25, 30 lap run under our belts, you might see the whole field come down pit road, especially for the sake of fuel, because you want to be able to go as many laps under the green flag as you can, but you may as well take the tires at that point because you've used most of your fuel. So I think as long as you keep running 10 laps and a yellow flag comes out, another 10 laps and the yellow flag comes out, I think if that keeps up, you're going to see a variety of strategy, and at that point, it just comes down to who pits at the right time, and no one ever knows until we set ourselves up for a green-white checker and look who's in the first couple of rows. So we're not even halfway yet through this race. We're almost there, but in the front row, it's going to be the 91 of Adam Alishire, the 1 of Lance Hill, 48 of AJ Green, the 10 of Kyle Benson has found himself back up there after that spin through the grass, and you see a couple other guys behind them with tires trying to see if they can capitalize. The green flag is back out. Alishire gets a great launch. He's going to have Hill tuck in behind him, and both of those guys will head down for turn 1.
Single file through turn 1. Both of them, of course, the Trackhouse Racing teammates, and with their new teammate, the 3rd car in that group, 7th, now 8th place, Timothy Cook. This is good news for them, as Kyle Benson will settle to 3rd. Everybody all single file for the most part. First side-by-side battle now for what's going to be P6 on the track. This is Sanchez looking underneath the 88 of Cook as Lawson Peel tries to pull away. And just a lot more distance overall, a lot more carefulness, but we might see that completely wipe away at the exit of 4. AJ Green could look underneath the 10. Benson might try for 2nd. He does. A bit of contact.
It's very close, and you have to do that in a way as the race starts to wind down. At some point, guys are going to start blocking that move. You don't want to give up the track position and let it be to the corner as he is right now. You see Benson all the way to the bottom. He's not going to get clear, but he's going to race the 91 as they door bang off of turn 2. The 10 will lose momentum as the teammates are on the outside, so Alishire stays in front. But you can tell, Kenneth, these guys are getting more aggressive as the race goes on.
And you can tell with the 10, he's been operating much like a lone wolf. He does not have his teammates out on track tonight. Austin Reedy's not here. Neither is Tristan Bailey in the 24. So this 10 operating all solo dolo. It seems to be working, but he continues to get freight trained by the 3 cars up top. This time he's got help by the 12 of Lawson Peel running back to turn 1, and it is roughly a 6-car breakaway. They're almost 3 wide near the back end of the top 10. Benson, a good enough run out of turn 2 to get him to 2nd. But again, outside charge, way too powerful. That 10 cannot get through.
This is what I mean. This is exactly like a super speedway race where you have to be where the momentum is, and you have to be where all the cars are running. So if you're on like that on the bottom with no help, sure you might gain a car length or two in the corner, but that won't mean anything when you're going to lose probably 3 times as much on the straightaway. Peel makes a move for third place as he was side drafting us. Look at the leaders bump drafting. We're bump drafting here at Auto Club Speedway into turn 1.
It's something that you really have to take in mind at this track that you won't at many of the others on the schedule, and that's why these venues more often than not act like super speedways. And while yes, you do have to keep your discipline and keep your skill in the corners, this draft overpowers everything. With the runs that these next-gen cars get, it is ultimately the largest determining factor in whether you gain track position or not. Sanchez tried to dive it deep in turns 3 and 4 on his own teammate, Lawson Peel. But again, solo car on the inside. You have everybody stacked up top. There is nothing you could do. And similarly to the Michigan International Speedway, Francisco, you'll find the same dilemma where you can try your hardest down low, but if you're the only one down there and everybody else is running that high lane, good luck to you. You're probably not going anywhere.
And a little bit more, oh gosh, look at that dive by the 12 of field to the inside. I think it's a little bit more extreme at Michigan banking, and on the outside you can carry even more speed so that you can probably stay on the throttle longer. So I think that you catch a little bit of a break with the tires wearing and the low line being so overly banked as Peel looks to the inside. Contact made with the 91. That's the second time that 91 has made contact exiting the corner with somebody. AJ Green has popped up into the picture with help from Kyle Benson. Joe Sanchez coming back into this one as Brandon Banks has found himself into this battle.
And that was a scary move by Lance Hill. Traveled down the track, and that could have easily opened the door for Green to take charge and wipe him off of that top lane in the middle of the draft. Car around, multiple. In fact, the 99 and the 25. Two of the hardest hitting cars all evening long in trouble, and they get Timothy Cook, the third car, in it as well.
Yeah, he went hard into the inside wall, did that. Around, that's going to be a fast repair. Same deal for the 25. I think that right front looks damaged, and not sure exactly what happened, Kenneth, but based on what I saw, I think it's somebody was not clear off the corner, and that's where the wreck started. So we'll get a look at it. Case you saw the 25 of Michel. Rare time he's running the bottom. And I think, Kenneth, in this situation, this is a very important situation, as it indeed was the situation where he wasn't clear and he comes up off the corner. Michel's been running the wall this whole... He might not have known what his car would do on the bottom.
That's a big point. And it's a good one you make as well. When you run that high lane and you ignore the second lane when you're running on the seams, this car can snap out of you. And it does so. He travels up the track. Look at him right there. Get loose, and there's no margin of error here in this case because the 99 is so close to him that he makes that mistake. Forster can't react because he's already there. And then the poor car, third one in there, Timothy Cook in his 4-wide Racing Cup Series debut on the outside of all this, gets caught up in the mess. Look at it from Cook's perspective in the 88.
Just not much you can do there. Just wrong place, wrong time, and tries to keep it off the wall, but hard with the back end. Unfortunately, that is going to be a fast repair required for the driver of the 88. He might not have it because he's still in the pit stall. As the leaders are coming down, I don't think this is everybody. We didn't go that many laps once more, but Alishire and the other Trackhouse racing car are going to lead the drivers down pit road of those who are stopping. And we'll see once again what the strategy call is. We might see some fuel only. We might see a 2-tire. And I think most of these guys would probably take 4 whilst they're in here. So looking up and down the pit lane, I think actually most of the guys are going 4 tires on this particular stop as one car is going into their stall just now. But there you see the guys who stayed out. It's going to be the 10 of Kyle, 28 of Jaden Porter, the 13 of Craig Lautenslager, and a couple other guys staying out. But a quick point to your current race leader. He's been making moves. He's been making noise, Kenneth. But I think one of the important things to mention, and he told us in the booth 2 weeks ago, he suffered an ACL tear, had his surgery last week, and he's here racing tonight. What a way to tough it out.
That is unbelievable. And even with all the pain and everything that he's had to go through, it has been such an awesome sight to see him on track and not only run tonight's race, not only just make the green flag, I think that's impressive on its own right, but to run as well as Benson has all night long. It's felt like he never had time off. It felt like he never went through that injury. It felt like he never had to rest from all the pain. This 10 is putting on a masterclass performance in the case where he's still recovering from that leg injury, and we hope everything goes well in that case. But Benson has been stand out the entire night and now in control of the race lead with 60 laps
You
to
know,
go.
as we're talking about leg injuries, he may very well on his Kyle Busch. Who knows?
Oh yeah, Kyle Busch. I know a lot of experience with us watching NASCAR back in 2015. And you know, maybe a little bit the same
Even
with Chase Elliott. Yeah, the same with
Yeah.
Chase Elliott. Whenever he comes back, hopefully he comes back sooner than later. I know he's not coming back for COTA, but should be back rather soon. Maybe, who knows, but a great performance out of the 10. And nice to see him put on the steering wheel once more. We had him with the headset at COTA last week, and while he did amazing, we know we definitely miss him out on track. He'll have the lead at the restart lap 67. He will have the, I guess you would call him rookie or kind of slash sophomore driver, Jaden Porter on the inside. Kevin D'Elia going to be third with Craig Lownslugger fourth, both of them occupying the second row. Tyler Warner, a name we haven't mentioned all night long and a car that we really haven't seen all too much. I think the only time we mentioned him was when he got sideways out of turn 2. Now we have him in the top 5. We have Colin Forster running on the inside of him, then Curtis Kelly, Tony Kibbett, Christopher Bishop, and then we travel all the way back to these guys who had came out fresh from pit road, one of them being inside the top 10, and that is the 91 of Adam Aleshire. Francisco, your quick thoughts before we go green.
Expect more chaos, which is exactly what we've seen in this race before. We're at the halfway point or just past it. I don't see why everything is going to change now.
We've seen a lot of chaos in the first half or so of this race. We'll try and see if we can continue that trend as Kyle Benson leads this race. He'll enter the restart zone with a chance to clear the entire field heading for turn 1. But we know, just like all the other restarts, you're going to get sucked back in, and we'll have a contentious battle for position all around the racetrack. It has been nothing but exciting here from Auto Club Speedway. Restart lap 67. Kyle Benson in control.
Solid restart for him. He is going to be clear as guys will jockey for position behind. You see Lownslugger was looking 3 wide in the middle, but he's going to settle behind Porter as Porter clears for the second place position. As they see Warner all the way to the top, Lownslugger's going to slide up, almost gets into the back of Kevin D'Elia. He's going to get in front of the 33 of Warner as guys are all over this racetrack. D'Elia looking to the inside of Porter. Porter with the block to stay in second place. And there you see Colin Forster now trying to make a move in the top 5.
And that was Porter wanting absolutely nothing of that inside charge by D'Elia, and the 53 just backed out of it. The 28 goes into the outside wall, got a little eager out of turn 4. D'Elia scrapes it, but less, and he's ended up on the inside. The 13 gonna force his way slightly through the middle, and side by side we go for second and third.
And now side by side for the lead as Lownslugger almost got to the inside of the 53, but D'Elia, Kenneth, has had one of his better performances that I can recall in the 4Wide Racing Cup Series. He's been running top 5 all night regardless of strategy, and right now he's trying to battle for the lead, but look at the outside, the big run against as the 10 will stay right by that outside wall. Warner will as well, but I think he's hitting it right now, so the outside will lose a little bit of momentum. Does the 53 capitalize on it?
Well, we'll see what happens. Jaden Porter looked to the inside of Benson for a moment, had to back out or else they would have lost all types of space. D'Elia, though, all by himself. On the bottom lane, he almost tries to side draft the 28 and almost about hit him at the entrance of turn 1. We're 3 wide. That's Tony Kibbett entering the top 5. What a run it's been for the 76. He looks underneath Curtis Kelly. D'Elia maintains underneath your race leader, heading back to turn 3.
D'Elia's been able to make that bottom work, but it's just he's losing so much ground to the outside. Just from a momentum standpoint, if all of them can run this sort of lane that you see Benson and Porter running, they don't get too unstable off the corner. They're able to get formed up to each other much quicker and make the straightaway longer. So look at that line of cars. So he's going to go from battling to the lead to possibly being next to Forster by the time they head down to turn 1. And just no help to make it any better. So it is a situation that's tough for the 53. Because he has nowhere to fall in line, but he has to keep on trying and hope a gap opens up. And speaking of, the 28 messes up, and so does the 10, as there's a crash in the back. Actually, they're saving it down the back straightaway as the 53 tries to take the lead in turn 3.
And you'll have help from Colin Forster, Jaden Porter, Tony Kibbett along those to help. And Benson is the only car on the outside lane. He'll clear the 28 at the exit of 4. But he will lose the lead. Kevin D'Elia in control. And look at this group back to 11th, all within 0.7 of a second.
The last couple of laps, there's been a couple cars sliding up off these corners tight. That might not spell for a good thing to happen here in the next couple of laps if that trend keeps up. But Porter all the way to the white line, trying to challenge for the top spot. You see, he left a lot of room for the 53 and does not get in line, but he does now just behind Forster, slots in front of that 10 of Benson, as there's the 76 of Tony Kivitt finding himself up in the top 5. Kenneth, a former ARCA Series champion of the 4-wide racing series of different leagues, and he's now trying to see if he can get a Cup Series win.
And we know that the 76 of Kivitt was involved in the first accident tonight with Brandon Banks in turn 1. Look at the amounts of progress he has picked up since. And by the way, he did not use his fast repair. When he got that front end damage, it completely almost ruined the radiator of his Chevrolet Camaro. He fixed all of that on pit road, and look at him now, clean as it could be, and he's got the opportunity at the lead. He follows back and forth. Here's Forster trying a look on the inside of Kevin D'Elia for what's going to be a spot inside second, but Jaden Porter, the Ally Chevrolet, moves to the lead.
And the 3 wide for second momentarily. Kivitt went all the way to the bottom. That's going to hurt his momentum awfully, as you can see him now getting taken 4 wide through the front straight, 5 wide momentarily as they're all the way over this race. Kenneth, you can tell these guys are going everywhere just to find some speed.
Using all the lanes here at Auto Club. Contact between the 13 and the 76. It plummets them through the field, but they keep themselves straight. If we remain under green, they'll pick up AJ Green near the latter half of the top 10. Lawson Peel gets on the inside of Kyle Benson. D'Elia once again looks for the point in turn 3.
How about that, Kenneth? I can't get over the fact that we were 5 wide as cars are scraping the outside wall. I believe that's the 10 of Benson hitting the wall. It's hard contact. That's the 76 once again with a hard hit to the outside wall, Kenneth. That might be some suspension damage. It was an awfully hard hit. Right now, he's still going in the right direction, so only he truly knows how much damage was done to that. But that was a huge hit to the outside. I'm not exactly sure what happened.
It was him and AJ Green that both just slid up, and I think just wore the right front. Car went understeery, and they just both went into it. And that's sort of a false deception that you could have, Francisco, at this track. And even at Michigan, you think you have enough grip to make the corner, you think you can put in as much throttle as you do, and then all of a sudden, fast forward, you're in the wall, and you don't know what to do after that. You get a bit of right front damage. D'Elia with a masterclass of a slide job. Porter has none of it. He goes for the crossover as we cross the line for lap 75.
But he probably ducked down a little bit too fast, as he does get clear going into turn 1. 50 chance to make a move. You want to make that crossover and side trap, then pull away, and you see D'Elia was able to get clear, but he gets loose off the corner, very loose, the 53. He's going to stay side by side for the lead with Porter having the momentum. Lawson Peel has found himself up in a second, and there's Peel's teammate down there, the 55, but Joe Sanchez trying to make some. See, Kenneth, everybody in the top 6 is running a different line.
That's the beauty of racing here at Auto Club Speedway. And you look at the way this race is unfolded in terms of the in-sim weather. We had a 69-degree air temp, 72-degree track temp as the sun was setting here in the West Coast. That has now completely gone away, at least the sunlight has. The lights have flickered on here at Auto Club Speedway. We're under complete darkness, and this track temp only continues to drop. More grip equals maybe more confidence from the driver base. They're willing to be more aggressive, and that's being shown right now. D'Elia with a shut on the door of the 12.
Less humidity means more horsepower, which means faster speeds down the straightaways, which I think we're seeing, because look at this. 3 wide move all the way to the inside and almost gets clear of Jaden Porter, and he just might have did just enough, as now he's going to get pushed from the 12 of Peel. He wants to come up and block, but not enough, as Porter had the push from Peel to be able to keep up there. Sanchez does get clear for now, but you can't help but think that 28 is going to get a run here off of 2.
It might just happen. He's got the drafting help too, a bunch of cars back there. There's a 3-car single lane train starting with Curtis Kelly, AJ Green, and Craig Lauenslager. They're not going to make a move. Lawson Peel, the 55's teammate, does. Peel goes way up the track in 3 and 4. And while we have seen these drivers work together so many times this season, I think this might be the race where they're just deciding to go guns blazing. Both of these drivers have been so quick all season long, and the most important thing, Francisco, they both have wins. Look at Tyler Warner, though, dive on the inside in turn 1.
But does he have the grip to hold it there, Kenneth? He's all the way up. Speed, wanted to carry it, but just couldn't. And now he's going to lose those positions. He did gain doing that. But off the corner, you see just how much momentum that outside happened. If anybody makes a move all the way down, almost outside of the top 10, did the Warner go after almost going up into the top 5. I think, Kenneth, it's safe to say these guys are racing like it's the final lap every other lap.
They are so aggressive. Look at them snake trail off this front end view of the 48 of AJ Green. The leader's doing that on the front straightaway back to turn 1 as D'Elia left the space open on the top. And it might be an unfortunate mistake for D'Elia as Forrester might be able to puncture his way inside the podium once more. And it looks like he does. Clearly out of the exit of turn 2, and Porter gonna look for a switchover on the inside. But what I'm noticing here, Francisco, is taking back to the point that I mentioned earlier in this race, or even before we dropped the green flag. You're looking at the drivers in the front, Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel, Colin Forrester, all with wins in Season 5. 2 of them, the 12 and the 99, with 3 wins or more. Sanchez with only 1. But what you're looking at is full-on aggression by drivers who are already locked into the playoffs. You would expect these guys to kind of hang back in the field, try different things out, just run their own race, keep themselves away from trouble, and just learn on the way to the playoffs. But they want to learn up front, and they want to learn by winning more races. As the car is in the outside wall, that was Tyler Runner behind them. But Francisco, from what I'm seeing, even if you get a win in this season of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series, you're not letting off the gas pedal at all.
I haven't met a driver, Kenneth, that hasn't wanted to win more races. These guys are so competitive, clean and respectable, but so competitive to try and capture more wins. That's why we're seeing the racing we're seeing up here. Even with 45 laps to go in this race, you can just see the aggression picking up lap by lap. These guys want to win these races so hard. You think about it. There's guys that haven't won here in almost 3 seasons, Kenneth. That's 2 calendar years. Those guys really work very hard to try and capture some wins. It's very hard to come by. It is no easy prize to get a win, so I think these guys try to maximize their opportunities, and if you take them while you can.
And yeah, playoff points also at stake as well, but you're looking at drivers who, like you said, haven't won in a long time. Kevin D'Elia, I don't think has ever won in this series. Jaden Porter, while he did pick up a win in what was his rookie debut run, I know not necessarily his full debut, but in his first full debut stint as a 4 Wide Racing Cup driver, he got a win in Nashville Super Speedway. Curtis Kelly, I don't think without a win either. AJ Green, he won at New Hampshire, but he might be looking for another. Lautenslager, it has been an age and a half since we've seen that 13 in victory lane, so there's a lot riding on this specific group. As we get closer to 42 laps to go, the 12 appeal makes a slide to the bottom. It might just be good enough for the lead, and it is. New race leader, Lawson Peel.
It looked like he slid up enough to force Sanchez to maybe think about getting back on the gas when he wanted to, and that's just enough to give him the lead. And I think at this point, Kenneth, that's what you have to do. You have to force the other guy to back out as the yellow flag, after what was probably one of our longest runs of the night. You see a car slow there on the bottom. Looks like it's going to be the 42 of Christopher Bishop. Not exactly sure what happened to Christopher. We'll get a look at it and see exactly what's the case. It seems as though he was on pit road, so I don't think he was part of the caution. We'll try and get a look, and there you see right there, Tony Kivitt slides off of turn 4 into the grass, and then it almost clips the 3 of Eric Schaefer as we get a little bit further back. I believe the 54 Brandon Banks gets just into him off the corner. We'll want to see here as the camera progresses, as there's Michel onto the wall, but that had nothing to do with it, as it was just the 54 tags the 76 off the corner.
It's been an unfortunate turnaround in this race for the 25 of Michel, who we saw get into contact at the exit of turn 2 earlier in the race and has just not been able to pick things back up. Here's another look at what happened between the 76 and the 54. Remember, these two made contact lap 1, turn 1. We're both involved in the first caution. And it just looks like the 16 and the 25 have an awkward moment out of 4. I think the 76 might have either just been checking up, or the 54 just had a good enough run that he could not ignore and just gets into the quarter panel of Kivitt. Eric Schaefer almost gets into the 76, and fortunately they both avoid full calamity. But that is enough to bring out the yellow flag to put us under rests, which will come in about 41 laps remaining from Auto Club Speedway. And obviously, this is the sign for the entire field to come for pit road again.
And there you see I think almost every single driver of the field is, and it looks like somebody, I think that's Kyle Benson, that is staying out. but I think this is one of the first times all night, Kenneth, that this many cars have been on pit road.
This seems to be a general consensus call, which has been a rarity in tonight's race. As there's a look at the 12, he'll lift the Jackson. Remember, his last stop, including with Sanchez, I don't believe they took tires. There's Kevin D'Elia coming in for his box. Lance Hill and company, Timothy Cook, AJ Green, Curtis Kelly will watch the race out of pit road. Of course, we'll keep an eye on that 12 of Peel and what he does and whether anybody else makes any other drastic calls. It appears like nobody's really doing that for the moment. Everybody getting 4 fresh tires and fuel. They want to set themselves up in the best way possible for the last run of the checkered flag. It looks like Michael Newbraw takes a 2.7 second stop. Might have just been for a fast repair. I think it might have been. We might see him come down again as the 12 of Lawson Peel leads him out of pit road. Sanchez and D'Elia second and third.
Yeah, the 2 DBR teammates are going to be at the front. I mentioned this earlier, Kenneth, but I hope I'm not jinxing it by saying this again, but again, I think this has been a career run for that 53 of Kevin D'Elia. He's just been up there all night long, and he's been putting himself in positions. He has a fast race car. He's been making some nice moves. Every once in a while, you see the lowest he's been fourth, but I think that was on a different strategy call. He's been up front all night as far as we could think of, and he's kept it mostly clean. I think tonight could be a good result for him if he's able to keep it up for the next 40. And going back to the pit stops, I think I can tell why most of the field came down pit road. We might be getting into a fuel window here. I'm not sure this is enough, but later in the race, you might be able to take fuel only or less amount of fuel, and that could give you some very important track position for the last restart or two.
Well, we are in 40 laps to go now, so that's a pretty substantial run. You're probably getting really close to the fuel window. But you're right with the 53 of Kevin D'Elia, and this race is no fluke either. He started this race in 5th. It's not like he started deep in this field and has just been lucky enough to be at the front competing for P1. He's been up here all night long, it feels like, and I believe there were some troubles, a little bit of hardships to start this race. That's why he was back in 24th in this event at one point. But every single time he finds his way back up to the field, he's as competitive as can be. He's led 5 laps tonight. It has been a career run, you're right, for the 53. And if he can cap this off with his first career 4-wide cup victory, it might just be even better. Michael Newbraw, who took a 2.7 second stop on that last yellow, he is staying out on purpose. He is not second guessing. And this is not just a lucky stay out or just a confusion scenario for the 6. This is a pure call. We'll see how it all pans out. It looks like no tires either for Newbraw. He wants all the track position he can get. Lawson Peel is going to be on the outside of the first row. Joe Sanchez and Kevin D'Elia, 2 Camaros in row number 2. Colin Forrester and Curtis Kelly occupying row number 3. Pace car will make its way down. We are within the final 40 laps from Virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. And it will be Michael Newbraw in control of the restart at lap number 87 of 125. Into the restart zone, Newbraw hops on the gas pedal. He clears the field. We're back under green as they're side-by-side for second.
We'll see what Newbraw's able to do with the lead. You feel these guys on tires will be able to get by, as Newbraw hasn't exactly been one of the fastest cars and does have some significantly older tires. As we go to turn 1, you can see those two already start to gain. Sanchez to the inside. He almost car though on those bumps. That's another point we made, Kenneth, earlier, that you have to be careful in the bumps. And there's a crash in the back, and the huge crash.
Craig Lounslugger in it, and there might be a couple of others.
Several more.
Kyle Benson, Cody Kinsey, Tyler Murray involved in a yellow.
Yeah, several guys got loose going through the bumps in turns 1 and 2. Sanchez lost the nose of the race car. Remember, most of these guys have been on old tires for restart. It's that first lap on a brand new set of tires that really gets out there and reaches you kind of like Dover. So as we go through the bumps here, watch, you're going to see a couple guys get loose. Others lose the nose, and I believe it's going to start right there with the 13 getting loose, and he overcorrects it and hard into the outside wall. You see a couple other guys taking action to avoid it. Unfortunately for Benson, or for the 13 of Lounslugger, he has there already, so it's probably going to be a tough finish for him here tonight. We're going to look at it from above. And right here, Kenneth, he has it saved, but it hooks back to the right. That's not so much the steering as it is with the throttle. These cars, if you're unstable and you immediately push the gas, it's going to spin out in either direction.
Here's what happened to Cody Kinsey. Just had the same thing happen to him. And then Kyle Benson comes slamming in. One of our biggest crashes all night long, as there's Michael Newbraw finally heading for the pits. He wants 4 fresh tires and some fuel to extend his run, and that might just be good enough to get him to the end completely. But we'll just have to find out, and it gives the opportunity for these guys to save a bit of fuel in the process. Lawson Peel, your race leader, inside, 40 laps to go, looking for 35 left here from Auto Club Speedway. We'll take a short moment to step aside, but you won't miss a thing of our coverage of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series from virtual California.
Wanted the best, you got him 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Who wins the race? Kerwin! It is Femi Olat, the sophomore!
Tipsy the header, you catch me in something you'll never do. I turn around and I love you. No motivation is needed. Look, I put myself on the pedestal. This is incredible. This how it feels at the top. Got no incentive to stop. I give it all that I got.
Back live from the virtual Auto Club Speedway for race number 14 of Season 5 of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series. Kenneth Bueno and Francisco Bacchiao to give you all the coverage. And here's the field on the back straightaway, ready for a restart at lap 91 of 125. We had a pretty big crash at the exit of turn 2 to bring us under our most recent yellow. That involves Cody Kinsey, Craig Launslarger, Tyler Murray, Kyle Benson among those. And it looks like we're ready to stack them up and have this race green all over again. It'll be 35 laps remaining here from California. The 2 Drinkin' Bros Racing drivers heading the field. The 12 of Lawson Peel, the 55 of Joe Sanchez. It's Kevin D'Elia, Colin Forrester to occupy the second row. Curtis Kelly and Jaden Porter going to be 5th and 6th in row number 3. It's been a chaotic race. We were talking about it under break of how wild this race will be moving forward and how more aggressive this race will turn as these drivers get closer to the checkered flag. Pace car is down. Peel is underway. We're back under green with 35 laps left.
A good launch there for Peel. The teammates will get cleared up at the front of the field. As you see, I think that's Lance Hill's line of Jaden Porter before they got to turn 1, but not enough space there. They're going to fall back here in 1 and 2. I believe that's Daniel Michaud.
Crash, Curtis Kelly into Lance Hill. They're both around. Caution is out again.
Oh, sliding down the track. I believe that's Tyler Murray once again. Hill going in the right direction now. I think it looked like it was the same deal as the last accident there, Kenneth. It looked like somebody got loose on the bottom. Might have been that 76 car and overcorrects it.
We've warned countless times about the bumps in turns 1 and 2, how they could shift your car sideways and you might just end up in a crash before you know it. And I believe it starts at the 71 here on the bottom. And right there, Francisco, you're right. Case of looseness and just overcorrecting the car. Tyler Werner in, and then Tyler Murray, who tried to just full throttle through the whole thing, pedal, ends up around. It looks like some more contact behind. I think Tony Kivitt and Christopher Bishop got a piece of the action. They both go around as well for the apron. So look on board with Kivett.
See, Bishop had his own moment, and Kivett, oh my God, almost got through that, and so did Bishop. They had their own separate problems, it seems. So I think both of these guys didn't get much damage, but they're fortunate that the rest of the problems did happen. That way they can get a caution to limit what would have been an even worse situation, because they were both off the hard into the wall with Curtis Kelly.
So tough for Curtis Kelly, running well at this stage of the race. I saw him pick up a super speedway win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for race number 1 of season 6 in the MPI, well, it used to be the MPI Cup Series, now the Sunoco Cup Series, and I know a bunch of drivers in this 4-wide racing Cup Series are in that league, and Kelly riding the high momentum off of that Sunday win. It looks like that crash might have just dashed his opportunity at having the front, at least in terms of the next couple of laps. We have seen with the way this race has unfolded, you could be the back now, but you could be all the way at the front by the time we get to the end. So who knows? Not going to say that this race is completely over if you're the 71. But obviously a tough break and more of an uphill battle than he would have liked to have. It's just a simple case of getting loose and overcorrecting the race car. We've seen a lot of those problems here tonight. I don't think we've seen many of them throughout the entire season, at least in recent memory. If that serves me correctly, Francisco, I think tonight might just be the day, the night where everyone is overcorrecting, everyone is having problems with getting loose in the race car.
Yeah, and that's something that's been going on with these race cars, and with the tires specifically. You look at those tires, Kenneth, and they're much larger rims than what they used to be before when they had the 5 lug nuts. So you get the single lug, 18-inch rims. Those tires take a little bit longer, so you that with the really low to the ground floors, the diffusers, that car is jumping up and down. The tires are having trouble heating up, so it takes a little bit longer for that tire to really get nice and gripped up. So when you're trying to force it to go to the maximum that it can possibly go on a restart where that grip just won't be there quite yet, and that's where you end up in this situation where guys are losing control. And that's, of course, coupled with the fact that this racetrack is as bumpy as it is.
That's true, and you continue to make similarities to Michigan International Speedway, but those bumps really aren't there at Michigan. They're way more pronounced here at this track, and we haven't really talked about it all too much either, but if you look at that back straightaway run to turn 3, especially when you're getting to the end of that straightaway, these cars are dancing all over the racetrack, and maybe some of the cameras don't do it completely justice just because of how far some of the shots are, but if you really look at it, those cars are all over the place, and it makes things a little harder to just navigate around this Auto Club Speedway, but it's been part of why it's fun to race this track, and it's kind of unfortunate we're going to see it become a short track for the years to come. And they have also sold off, I believe, the Auto Club naming rights themselves. So it hasn't been the best past couple of months for this speedway, and hopefully wishing for the best once it ends up as a short track or whatever it may be in NASCAR's vision. But we do love this 2-mile track, Francisco. It's been so fun to race in the Sims, so fun to watch in real life too.
Oh yeah, it's a blast, Kenneth. I enjoy watching these races, and these guys put on a good show. And you know, as we're winding down the race, closer and closer to the playoffs, the ante's going to pick up, the intensity is going to continue to rise, and the stakes are going to be higher. So the what it means to win a race and be able to get the maximum points, the max result, is going to mean all that more.
Here we go. Restart lap number 95 of 125. 30 laps to go from California.
Not as big of a jump as the last couple of restarts. He's squeezed up in front of his teammate, and Joe Sanchez. Sanchez is going to tuck in with him as they go back to turn 1. D'Elia to the outside of Colin Forster. Guys are all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, as we've seen trouble there the last couple of restarts. Jaden Porter, though this time he keeps it straight, but unfortunately for him, will lose several spots. I think he'll take that over a wrecked race car.
That's definitely true. He keeps the car straight. They almost make contact for third. That was the 99 of Forster almost getting into the quarter panel of Kevin D'Elia as they wash up out of turn 4. A couple of drivers strike the outside wall, but we make this lap clean. We stay under green. The 48 of AJ Green going to give a push to D'Elia on the front straightaway. And Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel pulling away back to turn 1.
This is about as big of a lead as we've seen so far through most of the night. As there you see Michel has jumped up to the outside as Forcer almost door checks the 53 off the corner. I wouldn't write off Daniel Michel yet, Kenneth. He's found his way back up into the top 10, and he's continuing to make some ground up there. He's got 30 or so laps to go. He's trying to get back up there. They see now on the bottom, just inside of Brandon Banks now, as Benson finds himself up on the high side. What a comeback it is for the 10 of Benson, as well as he's now up into the top 5.
These two cars were near the rear of the field and got caught up in crashes earlier tonight. And guess what? They're back in the mix in the top 10. Shows you just how much this race has changed. Tony Kimmett sideways and around in turn 1. Caution is out.
Not exactly sure what happened here, and he's going to tow it. I think he's probably going to call it quits by the look of it. Going down the front straightaway here. And wow, looks like the 33 may have just came down a little bit there, Kenneth. Not quite clear. And that sends the 76 and the 33, for that matter, into the inside wall. Tony Kimmett, of course, upset and probably out of the rest of this race.
Kimmett immediately towed it to pit road. So, of course, he's going to have to wait the time that it takes to tow back to the lane. So it looks like his race may not be over. He hasn't officially taken himself out of this session. But a tough break for Tony Kimmett, him and Tyler Warner involved in contact. And again, under the caution flag here at lap number 98. So I'm hearing the cars. They are saving. They're clutching and coasting. But this, Francisco, is not out of the ordinary. Remember the last time they pit was around 13 laps ago, which would have been lap 85 or so, which is exactly 40 laps to get to the end of this race. And while we have seen drivers go probably past 30, in many cases of these cars at this track, these drivers have not been able to test out a fuel run. So the concern is prevalent, and these drivers are using every single caution to their advantage to save every last drop of fuel they have.
I think if this race were to go the scheduled distance, if we keep getting these cautions the way we currently are, I think these guys can make it on the fuel. I think when they pitted, they might have been short, but with the caution laps, they could be fine. Where I start getting concerns is if we go to overtime. See a couple cars pitting in the back of the field. That could be important later on the line. I think I saw about 4 guys in the back of the field come in. You need to make sure that you have enough fuel for overtimes in this particular race. Because of the rash of cautions we've seen for most of the night, you cannot rule out overtimes being a factor in this race. You don't know how many, but you have to assume it might be at least 1 or 2. With that being the case, you can't save fuel for lap 125. You're most likely thinking a lap 130.
Riding on board with Joe Sanchez. There's the revs on the left side. His digital dash at around 2,800 RPM, but at one point he was at idle. And then there's Lawson Peel, completely shutting off the engine. 300 RPM. He's saving the most fuel. And I have to imagine, Francisco, that yes, the cautions have helped, but if you're Lawson Peel, are you more worried that you've been out front, you've been wasting the more fuel, and you haven't had a chance to be in the draft and kind of let off the gas pedal sometimes?
Yeah, there's several ways that you can save fuel with race cars. Lifting off the gas, of course, is one of them, but clutching also helps. Under these cautions is where you're going to save the most running the engine at all. Under the green flag, when you're in the draft, just go about half throttle and maybe clutch it in the corners. I don't think you're going to see guys clutching in the corners as much because the cars are almost exactly full throttle around the racetrack, so it's not exactly viable. But you will see guys maybe go half throttle, maybe a quarter throttle, or wait longer to get on the throttle off the corner. That way they can save that little bit of fuel. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. But as you know, a little bit here, a little bit there adds up.
So lights are off on the iRacing official pace car. We're going to restart with what appears to be 24 laps remaining. And once again, it's a DBR front row lockout. Lawson Peel and Joe Sanchez lead the field of the green when we come around. 53 of Kevin D'Elia still inside the podium. He has done a great job of keeping that spot intact. AJ Green has slid into 4th. He's had an up and down race, but might just be able to pick things up and gain some well-needed points. Kyle Benson and Brandon Banks in row number 3. And I do have to mention here as we close in at the end of this race, Kevin D'Elia comes into tonight's event 16th in point standings. And I will say this again, 16th. He is one spot shy of pointing his way into the playoffs. Let's say if it ended tonight with the one that he's put together, even if he doesn't win, he might have enough to get over the tie for 14th between Christopher Bishop and Kyle Benson and might point his way into the playoffs. This race, even if it's not a checkered flag, could just be the momentum shifter for the driver of the 53. And mind you, he is only 6 points shy of that tie for 14th in the standings. So we talk about the point standings and how much that matters in the grand scheme of things as we get to the last half of the regular season. Kevin D'Elia is a big part of this storyline. So is Kyle Benson. So is Christopher Bishop. All three of them in 3 different spots as we get this green flag restart. Pace car is down. Lawson Peel and Joe Sanchez enter the restart zone. DBR times the restart. We're back under green.
And a good launch once again for Peel. It looks like Sanchez is continuing to get better launches as the night goes on to try and challenge for the top spot as we go through 1 and 2. It looks like by Brandon Banks through the middle to go to the inside of AJ Green. Going to settle in for now as guys are settling up to the outside lane. Kevin D'Elia back and forth now as AJ Green finds himself into the top 3, but it's been these teammates the last couple of restarts, Peel and Sanchez battling for the top spot as there's Lieutenant Benson now to the inside of that 54. He's trying to come back into the top 5, and again, don't turn away from that 25. He's been ripping that outside lane all night long, and he's not done yet as we have just under 25 laps to go in this race.
He's trying his hardest to gain every last spot, and Michel is basically all by his lonesome. Now going to be blocked by the 99 of Forrester in turn 1. We'll see how much progress he can gain. He might just do it. That's 4 wide almost. 3 wide at the exit at 2. Michel is charging on the back straightaway.
He's been making moves, Kenneth, and we saw how fast that car was to start the race. He just got involved in a couple of incidents, got stuck in the back, lost track position, but now that he's starting to get that track position back, that speed is starting to show up. He gets to the outside of Forrester. He's going to have to draft off Kyle Benson, and once again, he's going to find himself with momentum heading in the positive direction. It looks like Benson will get to the outside of the 53. No, he won't. The 53 shuts the door. As we go back to turn 1, we're going to set ourselves up back. That's going on here, Kenneth. These guys are trying to set themselves up for the next straightaway as both guys will get into the wall.
You're into the wall. You're riding on board with the California native in Daniel Michel. Riding in the 6th position, Kevin D'Elia and Kyle Benson continue to go door to door for this last spot inside the top 4 or so. AJ Green holding 4th. But while this is all happening, Sanchez and Peel have been subtly able to pull away. While they haven't been completely out of the park quite yet, all this battling is only making Green worry more about what's happening in his rearview mirror, and he's less focused on catching these top 2, ultimately making the 55 and the 12's endeavor a whole lot easier. They're almost 3 wide for P3. That's Kyle Benson and Daniel Michel on the outside. Benson loose into Michel, into D'Elia. They go sideways on the back straightaway, and that is a heartbreaker for Kevin D'Elia.
That's unfortunate, Kenneth. He's been having such a great run. I don't know if he has that much damage on the race car. I didn't see that big of a hit. But you have the faster pair in check if you need it. So we're going to get a look here and see exactly what happened. The 10 gets sideways, gets in the wall. The 25 go under, I think. I'm not sure if he got loose or not. But he tried to turn underneath the 10, but he lost control. And he just gets into the right rear of the 53. I think besides that right rear, I don't think the 53 has any damage. If we another look at it, we're on board now with the 25. We'll see exactly what happened. Actually, he hits the bumper of Kyle Benson, and that's what sends him down the first place. And then, of course, you saw D'Elia go into the back of Kyle Benson, so he might have some damage. I think at this point, if you are D'Elia, you probably will use that faster pair just because it is the end of the race, and you still hope that you can have a shot at the getting to the back of the queue. You don't see that much physical damage, but of course when you're behind the wheel, you can sense just how much the car is down on horsepower or aerodynamic ability. So I think now he's going to come down pit road, and now that's the who comes down pit road. We'll have less than 20 laps to go when we go back to the green flag. You guys are psyching out, but there's a group of cars coming in, and most of the field is in afterwards. It's Colin
Forster leading them in. Lance Hill, Brandon Banks, Jaden Porter, Curtis Kelly, Tyler Warner, Tyler Murray, and Daniel Michel. All coming in inside 19 laps to go. And this is a pivotal call for tires and fuel. Of course, it's going to drop them in track position, but could this be the strategy that gets them to the end and gets them to the end out front? There's Kevin DeLea in the 53 coming in. He fell to 19th. And that is a faster pair. You're right, Francisco. Goes for it immediately. Daniel Michel misses his box. He's going to take some time to repair the car, so no faster pair for him. And so they're all going to exit pit road. This should drop them to 10th on back. So not necessarily the worst deficit. And still a lot of time wound up before you start making some moves. So ultimately, there's a lot of time left, but really we're talking grains in an hourglass type thing.
Yeah, at some point the patience is going to start. I think the patience has been going a while, but even with under 20 laps to go, these guys know that there's been cautions that the runs are short. You have to get what you can while you can get it. You don't know when that yellow flag is going to wave, and you just have to make sure you're as far up in the field as you can before it does happen to arrive. Though I will say it's going to be tough to pass those two cars up front. They've been working well together. They've been fast all night. And if anybody can go up there and make a move against them, you just got to tip your hat to them.
Yeah, they've been so fast and so controlling as well. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've noticed out of these two is the fact that they're just able to set the tone collectively, set the rhythm, and most importantly, avoid moves by other drivers. In this race, how many passes have we seen occur for the race lead just because they're all just frantically racing each other? Have we seen that out of the top two? Maybe in some cases, in some glimmers, but overall in this last run, they have been 1-2. They get a green flag run, they pull away. Third on back has to worry about themselves. But first and second have seemingly kept composure, and they have controlled the pace of this race. But the question is, can they hold it on any longer? And now, with fresh tire cars behind them, does that change their approach? I think, Francisco, that might be the biggest thing to watch on this DBR duo.
And we mentioned that the tires would eventually matter. It just depends on, one, who has them, but also how quickly are they able to make use of them. It's going to be a struggle for the restart, at least the first lap and a half. Afterwards, I think you'll see some tires start to work their way up to the point. So anybody that came down pit road is looking to be in a good spot. You just can't exactly hand them that win yet. They have to go up there and take it, because even with the old tires, those guys up in the first two rows definitely have a chance of being able to still win.
All right, let's get a restart. 18 laps to go from Auto Club Speedway. Pace cars down, and it is once again Lawson Peel and Joe Sanchez in command of the field. 18 to go when we cross the line. Peel is underway. We're back under green.
It's another good restart for Peel and for Joe Sanchez to get clear of everybody. Stay 1-2. Back into turn one. You see AJ Green and clear everybody else for third to try and see if he can mount the charge as we go through 1 and 2. No apparent issues at the moment as guys slide through the first couple of corners. You see now that's actually Peel breaking the toe, trying to break the draft as Kyle Benson and Cody Kinsey find themselves battling, going up to the top of the racetrack to see if they can form something up there.
And Alishire, we've seen him bouncing around this field all night long. He's got a chance to put himself in the top 5. He might follow Cody Kinsey down to the bottom. He does not, as AJ Green keeps in tow the 55. They go side by side for 4th. And meanwhile, they might just be 3 wide back there. That's Colin Forrester and company. Cody Kinsey looking to the bottom. They might not be able to find any sort of ground as Tyler Murray makes contact near the rear of the field, and somehow they keep it straight. And Jason Hastings sideways at a turn 2.
He's very far sideways, Kenneth. He might be spinning down the racetrack, but what a save by that 49. You don't normally get that car that side and save it. So good job by the 49 to keep it pointed in the right direction, even though he lost track position. There's found his way up to 4th as he almost squeezes Kyle Benson up into the wall. He's going to have to give him the space eventually. And Kyle Benson does get that line and find his way up into that 4th spot with help from Jaden Porter.
And Jaden Porter, by the way, P6 is the freshest tire car on the racetrack in terms of track position, the highest running fresh tire car. 4 laps into his stint. He's in the middle 3 wide here with Alshire and Kyle Benson. Only problem is he does not have the draft. That has been the great equalizer all night long, as Darius Porter now utilizing his tires to his advantage. He looks to the inside of Kinsey, might clear him out of 4, can't quite do it though.
And this is where he's going to lose out, is that momentum. But Alshire, all he needs is somebody on that outside to stake that opens a big enough gap for his race car to fit, and he's going to use every inch of that. There's 8 going to the bottom. Both these guys are going down low. We'll see who has the. And see Porter closes in the corner as they're now 3 wide behind him. That's not going to exactly help Jaden Porter, but it's going to make the racing behind Lawson Field look that more appealing and look better in his mirror as everybody's racing.
It is an absolute struggle for Jaden Porter on fresh tires to make any kinds of moves as he falls back to P7. Cannot get over Alshire nor Michael Newbraw. Remember, Newbraw at one point in this race had a 2.7 second stop, did not take any tires, and now look at him inside the top 5 with a chance to win as they go side by side, potentially for second. AJ Green now in a 3 wide fight. Cody Kinsey and Joe Sanchez for a moment on the back straightaway. AJ into Newbraw.
And they're both into the outside wall. Some damage to AJ. No, into the side of the 6, Kenneth. He is not.
He is livid behind the wheel of his Camaro. He is putting Newbraw in the outside wall. Meanwhile, they're challenging for the lead. Sanchez to the point with 14 to go.
Peel falls down to 3rd, Kenneth. Those two are still hitting each other. Both drivers very upset with one another. AJ Green does get in front for now. We'll have to get a look at exactly what happens, Kenneth, as, wow, cars are scattering all over places. We do have some beef here at Auto Club Speedway.
Unbelievable. The beef car, out of all people, would be in beef with Michael Newbraw. Caution is out. It's Eric Schaefer. No, it is not. I think Lance Hill. Yes, Lance Hill, turn 3.
There he is. I'm not sure if Hill got caught up in a consequence of what was going on back in turn 2, Kenneth, but I think we have to look at a lap before this on the back straightaway. That 48 and that 6 made heavy contact with one another. I think AJ Green was trying to squeeze in line, as here's the incident. They were 3 wide, and it looks like there just wasn't enough room for where everyone was trying to go in. And around goes Hill. Again, I'm surprised this was called a yellow because it is off the racetrack. And by the time he gets going, he's pointed in the right direction, ready to go. So I think, it looks like there was a little bit of drama after the yellow flag, it seems. This is what happened a lap before, right? So there's AJ Green. He was running the bottom. There's space up there. He tries to fill it, but he's not clear. Michael Newbraw visibly upset, but Green feels that it's not his fault, and he's going to turn down and run right into the score of the 6th car. Very upset with him. And then all the way along the front straightaway, those two are just going to stay on each other's door. The car doesn't even shake from the fact that they're not getting off of each other. I think everybody's seeing this and trying to avoid them. As you can see, just both cars pointed in the opposite direction. You get here at turn 1, it looks like Green is safe. You get the caution flag incident just behind these guys with the 99 and 3. As you see, that's what led to it just a little bit further back. But I think after the yellow flag comes out, Kenneth, I think there was some more drama going on with those two, because I think Newbraw drives up to the 48 and spins him out. I saw the 48 going around, so there's Newbraw. And indeed, that's exactly what happens. You see Newbraw drives up to the back of the 48 and spins him out under caution.
Wow.
We do have beef here.
Tempers are flaring here in California, but most importantly, look who's the leader. Jaden Porter, as Lawson Peel, Joe Sanchez and company all come in, and worst of all, Peel loses the race off of pit road. Sanchez wins it.
I don't know about that call, Kenneth. They were holding control of the top 2 spots there. I don't know if this is a necessary move, that maybe they thought they were short on fuel. But if they were good to go, I definitely would have kept the track position. It was working so well for them. And that's going to hand the top spot to the BBR driver.
What a race this has become. AJ Green in 14th, Michael Newbraw in 18th, and Lance Hill back in 19th after that spin. And that was maybe half a lap, more than a full lap, that Michael Newbraw and AJ Green were going at it. Jaden Porter's coming down pit road this time.
Interesting dilemma here. I'm not sure if he stayed out by accident or what's going on here, Kenneth. This is definitely going to hamper his chances at the race win as we approach 10 laps to go.
What is happening? Jaden Porter, who appeared to be on the same call as Colin Forrester and company, all these guys that have stayed out, it looked like Porter was on the same boat. It looks like that's not the case. Porter going to risk losing the track position for some fresh tires, or maybe some fuel as well to get to the end. And we'll have a restart inside 10 laps to go with Colin Forrester at the front. Francisco, think about this. Remember last season, in a fog-filled California track, Forrester had the race win in hand. It felt like he was the car to beat, but then came Mark Harris in the waning laps of the race, got around Forrester, and took that win away, and Forrester felt like it was his at the time. Now look at the festivities of last week where he was able to pull away from Lawson Peel at Coda to win that race, and now at a track where he's won at before, an opportunity to redeem himself with 9 laps left.
And he is a previous winner at this racetrack. In fact, it's where he got his first career at all the way back in season 3. Hard to believe it's been that long already since Forrester's been around in the series, but he got his name recognized at this racetrack, got his first win here, and that's when we first started seeing the likes of Colin Forrester being a contender in this series. And how fitting that he's been involved in all these race wins, all these potential finishes here towards the end of the race. And he's going to leave 10 laps to go, coming to 9 laps to go for what might not be the final restart of this race. He's going to have everybody behind him trying to chase him down, several guys on new tires. We'll see what he does as we go to the restart. Green flag is back out. 9 laps to go for Auto Club. Do we see another yellow flag? I think the answer probably.
We saw a fantastic jump on the inside, run number 2 by Kevin D'Elia, who was third on the restart, now takes second. Banks has something to say about it, though, in 1 and 2. They'll bring Curtis Kelly, Tyler Warner along with the ride as they come onto the back straightaway. Hopefully no problems. It looks like the field keeps it clean. All single file through most of the drivers in the field until you get to Cody Kinsey and Jason Hastings tussling for 8th on the racetrack. Brandon Banks looking at Forrester, but the 99 is clear of the rest of the field and has his sights on 8 laps to go.
Kenneth, I think one of the most important things to mention right now is look at who's Colin Forrester trying to win races. Kevin D'Elia, Curtis Kelly, Brandon Banks, Tyler Warner. These guys have not won in ages or cases, and they're all here behind Colin Forrester, one of the series regulars, counting on him, trying to see if they can get a shot of their glory.
3 out of the drivers in the top 5 right now have not won a race in a long time and have not won a race this season. Forrester with 3 wins, Banks with his own at Talladega, but Kelly, Warner, and the driver you're watching right now in second, Kevin D'Elia, do not have a checkered flag to their name this season. Remember we talked about D'Elia's place in the point standings? Look at Curtis Kelly and Tyler Warner, where they are in that respective category. A win would catapult them through the grid and immediately lock them into playoff contention. That would be a huge confidence booster heading into the final races of the regular season. But watch the drivers on fresh tires. They're starting to charge. Joe Sanchez, Lawson Peel in that group.
And notice, Kenneth, now the leaders are running the bottom. Complete change to what we saw earlier.
That's definitely true. Remember, everybody was up on the outside wall. Everybody wanted to highline Kyle Larson this race, but now it looks like everybody wants to hug the bottom. Warner under fire by Joe Sanchez for 5th, and this is making it look like easy work for the Cookout car and the SpaceX machine. Both of them blistering through the field, but will they have enough time? We crossed the line for 6 laps to go.
If they work together, they have a shot at it. And speaking of, there's the Leo look. Not quite there.
D'Elia tried, couldn't pull the trigger. He gets loose at a 2, opens it up for Brandon Banks, and almost makes contact with Curtis Kelly, entering the back straightaway. But all this is doing is inviting that 55 and the 12 further, and that may escalate the concerns if you're Colin Forrester. You're looking at the rear end of your Camaro, you're watching more Camaros catch up to you, and you're wondering, how do I defend? 5 laps to go this time.
It's not over yet, and with this draft and how fast those cars behind us, there you see Sanchez. again. He's going to have help as D'Elia's going to chuck it down to the
D'Elia looks for the lead. Sanchez, Peel to follow on the inside. But he cannot complete the move. Sanchez, loose out of 2. They're 3 wide for third.
That's not going to help them, especially with those teammates side by side. They were together. Looks like now the 55 is going to tuck behind Peel and see if he can help Peel get up there. D'Elia's holding on to second place, and he has to try the top, Kenneth. It's better for the straightaways. You get the run off the corner. I think if you're the 53, you have to do something with the outside lane. But look, he almost gives it to Peel. Peel will cross over to the inside, almost hitting him, and they'll go back to turn 1 sideways as hits the apron. He's going to slide up the racetrack. They'll be side by side.
And this is a 4-car breakaway. Sanchez and company have fallen back. They have not found the way to rebound. D'Elia drops all the way back to 4th as he let that space open. Peel almost stuffs it into the rear end of Colin Forrester in turns 3 and 4. 3 laps to go this time.
And D'Elia with the power move to get up to 3rd as Peel does strike the outside wall, but he's 2nd, trying to keep those cars behind him. That'll help Joe Sanchez close in, but it'll help on this battle right here with the 99 car. This is 2 drivers that have won in the series on several occasions, 2 championship contenders, and your defending series champion in Lawson Peel. Peel will get the run off the turn 2. Forrester's going to block.
Forrester's going to shut the door. This is a mirror image of last week at COTA, but this time the 12 is in control. The 12 of Lawson Peel to the point, looking for 2 laps to go.
It's not over yet. We've seen Peel get to the front 2 tires and not pull away, Kenneth, so he's going to try and break the draft. He knows that it's not out.
Can he find the same success? Sanchez punches it in for 3rd. He might make contact with D'Elia.
Oh, Peel got loose.
Peel gets a little loose. Forrester tries to catch up.
He's got to try something different.
We'll head for the white flag, this time by. Remember at COTA how hard Lawson Peel tried to catch up to the 99 of Forrester on strategy, and it did not work, but this time by. Lawson Peel catches the white from Auto Club.
One more time around. Does Colin Forrester have anything left for Lawson Peel to try and make it another win at the Auto Club Speedway? They're going back to the bottom, which has been going on in the last couple of laps. Peel, of course, as we mentioned, with the newer tires as they come off turn 2, side by side, back for 3rd. Peel is going to break the draft on the back straightaway. Forrester's going to have one last opportunity. He's going to try and go deep, but he doesn't have enough momentum and grip. And off of turn 4, Kenneth, after finishing 2nd at the road course last season, Forrester comes up short, but it's Lawson Peel getting another win at the Auto Club Speedway.
Lawson Peel, 5th win of Season 5, and he grabs redemption. After the heartbreak at Circuit of the Americas, Lawson Peel wins from Auto Club.
After the, no kidding. And another 2nd place finish at Auto Club for Colin Forrester, making it 1st, 2nd, and 2nd in his finishes at this racetrack. Kenneth, once again, just comes up short.
Everybody handing off their congratulations. Joe Sanchez, who comes home 3rd. Adam Alshire in the 91 for Trackhouse Racing. Kevin D'Elia coming home with, I believe, his best finish this season in 4th. But the eyes land on the 12 of Lawson Peel, who last week was absolutely shot and heartbroken by that loss at COTA. Felt like that race could have easily gone his way. He tried his hardest, and it did not go in his favor. But tonight it does. Lawson Peel celebrates from Auto Club Speedway in what is his 5th win of the season.
That's fair. That's impressive, Kenneth. Last season, Lawson Peel won 7 times. We're not even at the playoffs yet, and he's already up to 5 with several races to go. What we thought was a very great season, and it was. It was a great season by the 12 of Lawson Peel in his championship season, but he arguably looks a lot better in his championship defense.
It took him 15 races to win 5 last season. It's only taken him 14 this season. So it looks like a mirror image of what we saw a couple of months ago. And the 12 parks it into the 19th hole victory lane as he celebrates his 5th win of Season 5 here from Auto Club Speedway. Let's take a look at the unofficial results as they cross the line. Lawson Peel, your winner in the final laps. Beautiful last couple of lap pass on Colin Forrester and held on to the lead. Forrester, like you said, Francisco, no finish worse than 2nd in his appearances at this track. Second straight second place finish. Kind of hard to say. A little bit of a tongue twister if you say it fast. Joe Sanchez, last driver in the top 3, completes a DBR podium apart from Forrester. Kevin D'Elia had such a fantastic race going, got shuffled out of line in the final laps, but still comes home with 4th, and I believe that's his best finish all season long up until this point. Curtis Kelly is the last one inside the top 5, followed by Jason Hastings. I think that might be his best finish all season as well. Brandon Banks comes home in 7th. Daniel Michel, the Highline hero, comes home in 8th. AJ Green to finish in 9th. And Tyler Warner, the last one inside the top 10.
Adam Alashire will be the first outside of the top 10 and 11th. Michael Newbraw finishes 12th after recovering from that contact with AJ Green. Tony Kivett finishes in the 13th spot after almost pulling it over. Christopher Bishop rounds out in 14th. Eric Schaefer in 15th. Kyle Benson returning after his ACL injury finished in 16th. Jaden Porter, after making that questionable call, will finish way behind the leaders in 17th place. Cody Kinsey will finish in 18th. Tyler Murray will be the last car on the lead lap in 19th, and Lance Hill rounds out your.
Here's a look at everybody 21st on back, beginning with Craig Lautenslager, up and down race, but ends poorly for him. Jesse Prees in 22nd. Timothy Cook, his first race with his new team, Trackhouse Racing, doesn't go the way he had planned it. 62 laps down. 24th will go to Brandon Gillis, and then Francisco Bacallao tried to run this race, ends up in the booth tonight. Fantastic job. And that caps off your field here tonight from Auto Club Speedway. We'll talk to the driver who now occupies victory lane for the 5th time in Season 5. And Lawson, around the same time of year, you had your 5th win of the season, but I have to imagine this one might just feel the sweetest out of all the ones you've picked up so far in Season 5, just because of the agony of last week, losing the race at COTA. How good does this win feel from Auto Club tonight?
Yeah, this one feels really good just because of that drive there on that last run. That was pretty crazy and really fun there to just kind of send it up through the pack there and come out unscathed at the front, and then be able to kind of hold my position there and maintain a gap there those last couple of laps. So that was really fun. I wish we could have gotten some long green flag stretches. I know probably wasn't the most fun race to broadcast or to for the viewers. So yeah, too many cautions. Wish we could have kind of cleaned that up a little bit. But yeah, we were just all kind of in a pack the whole night. We never really got strung out enough to do our own thing and let strategy come into play. So it was just a lot of 15, 20 lap runs and, offsetting tire strategies and whatnot. So I'd stay out and be at the front and then pit and kind of be back 10th or 12th. And yeah, had a lot of fun kind of charging up through there a few times. Love this track. This is really one of the best tracks we got, and I'm gonna miss it in real life. I hate they're doing away with it. So, just you can really spread out and just pick any line you want, and it's just an awesome track. So, it feels really good to get one here.
Tire strategy, one of the biggest factors in this race win. You and Joe Sanchez, beneficiaries off of that. What was that like? Give us your perspective on just the calls itself. And I know that caution with around 40 laps to go kind of changed things. What was that like for you and your team to have to manage?
Yeah, I took first set of tires on the second caution, which was like lap 12 or 13, and I was kind of nervous at that point that would maybe end up a set short at the end of the day. So I was hoping we were gonna, like I said, kind of go green, and we did, and we kept having a lot of cautions. So had to stay out on some of those, and just we had 5 sets to change, 5 extra sets, and just had to pick when you wanted to use them. So ended up taking tires, I think, about every 20 laps. I looked down and it was like I took a set on lap 12 and then maybe another set around lap 25 or 30, another set at 45, 65, 85, and then that last one at with about 10 laps to go there, which glad I had one more there to put on and charge up through there. That was that worked out nicely. So didn't leave any in the bank, used them all, didn't run out, so those are all pluses.
Big win for you, 5th on the season with 38 laps led. And now at this point, what's stopping you from getting more wins this season? And before we let you go, anybody in specific you want to thank for tonight's run?
Yeah, just we'll there's some good tracks coming up for me, and some tracks, you know, I look at and I'm thinking I certainly am at a disadvantage, kind of like Darlington. So kind of eyeing those favorite tracks of mine that are coming up still, and hopefully we can get some more. And yeah, shout out to my Drinking Bros teammates as always. You just got a great group, and a lot of them were right up there at the front. I was seeing Cody and Newbrow up there with about 15, 20 to go, and really pulling for them. And yeah, just love all my teammates, and really all the competitors. You know, even all the guys in the league that aren't my teammates, really get along great with all of them, and just have a lot of fun racing with them. Thanks to Tyler for everything he does for the league. Thanks to you for doing the broadcast, Kenneth, Paul's setup shop, and everybody that watched tonight.
It was a lot of fun for sure watching you out on track this evening. A big congratulations on behalf of our broadcast crew here from Auto Club, and wishing you the best of luck in the rest of regular season and for Gateway 1 week from tonight. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
That's Lawson Peel in the 12, victorious for the 5th time in this campaign. It almost looked like a 4th win this season for the 99 of Colin Forster. He comes home in 2nd. He's caught up with Francisco Bacallao.
Well, Colin, once again at this racetrack, it's one spot short. It looked like the old tires were not that much of a concern for most of the race. Do you feel like that was what cost you there at the end?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I just need a little bit more grip there. I think some of the damage was also hurting me there. I had like 25, 30 seconds of optional, which wasn't great, but we kept moving, and it was a good fight to the end, and I was just happy that I was able to stay close with them.
For most of the race, especially for the first 100 laps, we saw most of the field use that outside lane all the way to the outside wall. In practice, there was definitely grip up there. As the race went on, was the grip going away? Because eventually you guys found yourself at the bottom. Feel that in those closing stages that you could use that lane to defend?
It's really hard to say because I don't know if the damage was just making my car tighter, but it started to get tight there, and I wasn't liking the outside because I just couldn't get to the gas as quick, and I just liked how the inside felt better, but I'm not really sure if it lost grip or what. But just inside was a lot better there towards the end to me. Started off good, but really you just got to run where the guy in front of you is not. Just with the dirty air, and you'll get tight behind them, and just it's hard to get. You just gotta find any free space you got.
And of course, after this race, Colin, there's now just about 6 races to go before we commence the playoffs. Obviously, you want to win races, but another points day. How do you set yourself up for these last 6 races in terms of your plan of attack?
I mean, just try and win as many races as I can. Just build up the playoff points. Last year I didn't make the final 4 or 5, just by 1 spot, and just rack them playoff points up, which helped me in the playoffs, and try and get to that championship round.
Of course, a win last week, a 2nd place this week. We'll give you a shout out. So we'll let you give a shout out to all the people that help make these kind of runs possible.
Just shout out to my dad watching. Hopefully it was a good race for him. Shout out to everyone on Stonks. We all had a very good day. And shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast. I'm sure it was a great job like usual, as well as shout out to Tyler and everyone in the league for having me. Look forward to these races every Wednesday, and just a lot of fun.
Appreciate the time you take to be with us, Colin, and we wish you luck at Gateway.
All right, appreciate it.
So that's Colin Forster in the number 99, coming home in 2nd here from Auto Club Speedway. Last driver to finish in the top 3 is the 55 of Joe Sanchez. We're caught up with him now on the 3rd place interview. And Joe, I know you had fresh tires like Lawson Peel, tried charging up to the end, and you end up in 3rd. What was it like behind the wheel over that last restart or so?
I was happy it went green the whole way. That was really the only shot I knew that Lawson and I could get up to there. It took about 2 to 3 laps for the tires to really kind of come in so you can turn. You were just really, really tight on the initial start. But I made a late decision to not slide up in front of Curtis, and that really just killed all my momentum off of 2. And that's what ultimately let Lawson get by me. I knew if I could keep him behind me, I could probably have a shot to win. But that mistake there ultimately cost me, at least 2 spots, I think. And then it was just clawing to try to get back there. But happy with the result. To be involved in the first 2 cautions and spin out and everything, and come back to finish 3rd and lead a bunch of laps is a pretty good day for me.
A lot of fun watching you on track. And I know your teammate Lawson Peel talked about it briefly. The fact that nobody could run away from each other, a lot of periodic yellows to the point where nobody could run a full green flag stint with green flag pit stops. How did that affect your strategy and your mindset over the race?
I definitely would have liked to see some longer runs just so we could spread out a little bit, because you could really use any lane on the track and make time. So it would have been cool to see on a longer run who was running where and making up time. But these restarts and short runs we had were still pretty fun to race hard like that. But definitely would have liked to seen some longer runs so we could experiment with different parts of the track a little more than we were able to.
Nonetheless, 3rd place finish here from Auto Club as you look forward to Gateway next week. What are your thoughts on the track over in St. Louis? And before we let you go, anybody you want to thank for tonight's finish?
Yes, St. Louis is going to be pretty fun. It's a tough track. Definitely have to manage your tires, especially if the track temp's warm. So looking forward to that. And then thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast, and Tyler and all those guys for the league they put on, and then our team sponsor, Paul Setup Shop.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time as always, Joe. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish on behalf of our entire broadcast team, and best of luck at Gateway next week.
Thanks, guys.
That is Joe Sanchez in the 55 coming home in 3rd place here from Auto Club Speedway. Francisco, final thoughts before this race. I don't know how we can describe it without going absolutely insane, but a lot of fantastic pack racing, battles for the lead, battles galore all over the racetrack, a lot of carnage, a lot of chaos. Ultimately, Lawson Peel getting a bit of revenge on Colin Forster after last week's events at Coda and grabs his 5th win of the season.
Yeah, another thrilling finish those two have been able to put on for us here. And in reverse, really, with Lawson Peel coming away the race, Colin Forster coming up short in 2nd place position. And really, those two are coming out as the championship favorites, at least right now. Lawson Peel, of course, being the defending champion and already grabbing 5 wins. That you basically can book him a spot in the championship 5 unofficially, of course, before we get there. But Colin Forster has been a close second to him for most of the season. Very competitive, and they definitely look like they're going to be 2 of the strongest drivers going. Gateway is next, of course. That's going to be a very interesting track. I don't think I've covered a race there, so it's going to be interesting to see how that race plays out, how strategy unfolds. You heard Joe talking about it. Very tough. Then we return to the oval at Indianapolis, the short track at Iowa, Dover. Then we go throwback racing at Darlington. And then to close the regular season, we head back to Florida for some night racing at the Daytona International Speedway. And that's what's left, Kenneth, before we start the playoffs over at Bristol. So before we do talk about Bristol in a month's time, or 2 months' time, actually, we have to navigate these next 6 races, which could determine the playoffs.
It is going to get scrappy, that is for sure. Gateway probably going to be the first of many steps that we'll see in development and who makes the playoffs. But as of right now, Lawson Peel at the top of the league this win tonight from Auto Club Speedway. So for Tyler Murray and everyone from the admin team and race council and from all of us at MaxSpeedTV and for my colleague in the booth this evening, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying thank you so much for watching our broadcast of the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series from California. We'll see you next week in the Midwest at Gateway.